Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Good Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you're going to listen live via the streaming free always. Don't miss anything. If you do miss something, remember, you can get caught up, because after the show, we'll post all 3 hours, both to iTunes and in our own audio vault on the webpage. Email the show if you like. It's jcs@979espnradio.com. Find me on Twitter @JCameronShow. WTSM app, good for your mobile devices. So if you're having a problem with the radio or the stream, just use your WTSM app for either Android or iPhone. On YouTube, it's ESPN Tallahassee. Hello, YouTubers. Thanks for watching. Periscope on Twitter is @979 ESPN Radio. Florida State takes it down to IMG. Had practice today, back in full pads for the second time in camp. Get you some thoughts on that in a bit. Let's begin with what we should begin with. Florida State's own Brooks Koepka winning his third big and our fan favorites, and yet Brooks is the one that of his.
You had to go birdie, 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 and the next one where you had to survive, and he won the tournament at +1 relative to par. So there you go. He is soulless in all the best ways, is how I put it, because he doesn't care who you want to win. If the galleries are pulling for Tiger and he's got 10% of the people following him in the final group on a Sunday of a major that somebody does 2 groups ahead, too bad. If it's one of his contemporaries, too bad. He's just going to take it from you.
Yeah, and I think it's amazing to be able to build to that point. You know, Brooks is a guy, and I've talked to Trey Jones, Florida State golf coach, and congratulations to Florida State golf. Congratulations to Trey Jones, who coached Brooks Koepka while he was here. And Trey is a modest guy. He'll tell you, look, Brooks had a lot of talent before I ever saw him. So, you know, that's why he was on my radar, was I could see he could play. So Brooks brought a lot to the table. But obviously some things went right while he was here. And Florida State was able to get a lot out of him and get him going in the right direction. But Brooks is tough, and it always has been tough. And I've talked to Trey about that, and I've only spoken to Brooks a couple times in brief stints. But Brooks is a unique cat. I mean, first of all, he comes from a family of athletes, elite athletes. His brother's an elite golfer who's playing, I think, in the European Tour now. So he's, you know, there's athleticism all through there. Brooks was a great athlete growing up, was a great baseball player, amongst other things. So that's obvious when you see him. The mental aspect of the game is something that he had to grow into, and he used to be a bit of a hothead. He used to be a guy that reacted emotionally in ways that was frowned upon at Florida State, and they had to talk to him about it. And I don't want to indicate that he was some sort of problem child, but there were a couple of times where he showed his emotion and had to be kind of pulled aside. And Trey and his coaching staff had done a great job with him in that. And somewhere along the way it clicked, in particular in Europe, when he was on the European Tour and he had to go play places where you know, you're not accustomed to the surroundings, where it's cold and it's wet and it's rainy. It's not like where you grew up in Florida and you didn't like the food or wherever. You know, all these are the kinds of things that happen when you go onto that tour. And you have to make your way there. And there were times he wanted to come home. There were times where he just wasn't happy. It was miserable. It's almost like a developmental league. And he chose to go that route, and people that love him and were close to him, including Trey, said, nah, hang in there, tough it out. And in doing so, it hardened him, it toughened him, and he became a guy that, you know, broke through over there, and then eventually that led to the successes we're seeing here on the PGA Tour.
I just love that in each of his major wins so far, he's taken it. He didn't build a huge lead and then coast home. You know what I mean?
And there's nothing wrong with doing it that way. You're right. It's just more admirable in a way to watch a guy show a physical and mental toughness when challenged that doesn't revolve around sitting on a lead. You're right. But it rather going and getting it. Listen, if you can build a big lead and hold on, there's nothing wrong with that either.
Well, it's the first time in his career he had, you know, in a major championship that he won of the 3. So first time he held the lead overnight, Saturday into Sunday. But, I mean, people were coming for him yesterday.
Oh,
Justin Thomas for a good hour was coming for him.
Justin Thomas could have hit a couple of 3-foot putts. He might have been standing there with Brooks as well.
Adam Scott answered the bell, which is kind of rare. You know, when you see people paired with Brooks on the weekend, they kind of wilt. He almost has, I don't want to say to the Tiger level in effect, but at least within his own group, you see guys kind of
I think he's intimidating in 2 levels or 3 levels. First of all, he's physically imposing. Secondly, he hits it a mile. So if you're playing with somebody that hits it 340 yards down the middle of the fairway repeatedly and is unwavering and also doesn't show a lot of emotion, you can't get in. Gosh, this guy's impenetrable. I can't get in. I can't figure him out. He's not showing signs of weakness, or even when he makes mistakes, he doesn't react in the way that I'd like him to. Dustin Johnson's that way a lot too. But those guys are hard to read. And then finally, I think the other way that he's difficult to figure out in terms of the reason people might wilt is because not only is he somewhat emotionless, but again, he's a guy that is – I think he intimidates through the ability to hit a ball in intense moments exactly as he does when it's a Thursday afternoon on the back nine where, people haven't established a lead of any kind yet. Yeah. He's the same guy all the time. I guess consistency. He's intimidating because he is so consistent.
Yeah, it's almost a dry experience to watch him play. And in that way, even the broadcast itself doesn't come to life because he doesn't urge it to come to life. He just goes about his business and gets the job done. But I just, Tiger also was coming after him. He shoots 64 yesterday after a brilliant front nine.
Which is un-Tiger-like, by the way, in his career. He's a guy that has won majors by leading after Saturday and then challenging people with Sunday pin placements. Come get me. I'm great in my own way. I'll shoot for the center of the green, and if I need to step on it a little bit, I will. But by and large, I'm going to bet that you can't shoot 5, 6, 7 under on a Sunday to come get me. And yet he was the guy in that position yesterday. I think that's another reason that the fans were on board in the way that they were. They want to see the redemptive story of Tiger Woods, but he was going low. He was doing things he hasn't been able to do in this comeback, which is on the back nine when in contention, make birdies, make shots, and he was.
He was terrible on the back nine coming into Sunday as well. His front nine scoring led the field all weekend long, but then the back nine, I think he was +2 entering Sunday's final round.
He was -13 on the front nine.
Yeah, and he ended up going -3 on Sunday without hitting a fairway, which is just incredible.
0 for 7, and yet -3 through 9 holes because he was a magician.
Well, he had 10 or 11 putts through 9 holes. I mean, it's just absurd. And yet, when this all-time great is coming after you and you can hear the roars, they precede your group. So you have time to think about it. And Brooks had to go through 2 delays yesterday of better than 5-10 minutes. It didn't matter. And that's what I just love, that he takes things from people and he sets the pace. I'm not going to let you dictate the pace for me. I'm going to dictate the pace. Can you keep up with me? Adam Scott on number 13 yesterday, is after he made his push to the par 3. It's 180. The pin is basically hanging off the green to the right. Adam goes pin hunting and puts one to 10 feet.
And then Koepka does the same.
Brooks answers right back and does it himself.
In an area where, by the way, those 2 shots, those were ridiculous. Both look like they're going right. And from the tee, when they kept showing the shot from behind the tee, I remember thinking, listen, there's so much about what these guys do on tour in general that leave us all in awe. But I always think I play most of my golf with my good buddy Tom here. And I was just thinking about you and I standing there on a par 3 with all that lay between that tee box and that green, and where that pin placement was and how our conversation would have gone. I mean, assuming either one of us had the club to get it there. Just this idea of, well, obviously you can't go at this pin here would have been the first thing we'd say, because the margin for error is nil.
Right. It's a dumb shot, but in this circumstance this weekend, as soft as the greens were, you could play target golf. And Brooks was totally okay with that. But he's also won a major, this year's U.S. Open, where until Sunday the greens were brown. Especially on Saturday.
Yeah.
And so you had to manage your way around the course. You had to play strategy golf. Jordan Spieth mentioned yesterday after he finished up, and now that Brooks is tied with him major for major, it should be interesting to see how that shakes out the next couple of years. He lamented that the greens were so slow because it does take a little bit of strategy out of it. The worst putters are rewarded a little.
It's one of the reasons Adam Scott had a chance to compete.
Correct. But Brooks can win a tournament any way you line it up. That's what we're learning about this guy. You want to go low birdie for birdie? No problem. I'll make 5 out of my next 7, and I'll make birdies on these holes. You want to play for par? Do I have to scramble for my life? I don't care.
Right.
If I have to take a bogey because I hit a bad shot, I'm not afraid to swallow my pride and go make a bogey. That's what he did at the U.S. Open. It's just, whatever it is, I'm going to conquer it, and he did it again.
couple things to note about this for Brooks Koepka. The story yesterday was most certainly Tiger Woods and not Brooks Koepka. And I get that, and I don't resent it, even though we're all happy for Brooks. I get why an all-time great, arguably the greatest player ever, got the spotlight and the attention that the eventual winner didn't get. I understand why that is. I mean, that's an exception to the rule. If that other person had been one of the other young guns, Brooks would have been getting the rightful attention. They would not have just decided, well, we're going to look at Rory or Jordan they would have looked at Brooks. But Tiger is a transcendent player. He is a guy that is on par with the Michael Jordans and Muhammad Ali's of the world. He's one of these players that are generational, where you sit back and you talk about him outside the realm of golf. He changed the game forever, and that includes the current players on tour who greatly appreciate the money they make because of a Tiger Woods and, of course, a Jack and Arnie before him.
Well, you look at the people yesterday all around that golf course. There was one thing it reminded me of. It's the only thing I've ever seen, and that was an entertainment event. It was WrestleMania, and it was Hogan versus The Rock in Toronto. And these guys all they're doing is they're posing and knocking each other down for theatrical effect. And the people in the stands are throwing drinks in the air, and you see beach balls going, people throwing their signs.
Yeah,
that's what was happening yesterday when Tiger was making great shots. I mean, he got a little unlucky.
The one lip out should have gone down. He had another one stop on the edge.
But then on number 3, the par 3, and then 15, the 9-iron from 160, those are pretty much makes. He gets a little unlucky that they didn't go in.
One of them didn't go in, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, one of them. I felt like one of them should have gone in, yeah.
And if you think about Tiger's weekend, 17, right? 17, he hits the bad drive yesterday. That's when you knew it was over, as long as Brooks didn't completely collapse. And then 17 on Saturday, when he hits the green in 2, he's got inside 20 feet for eagle, and he 3-putts. Yeah. There's the tournament right there for him. If he makes one of those statements, then you're talking about maybe he and Brooks are going toe-to-toe in the final pairing on a Sunday.
Which would have been fun.
Which would have been even more classic.
This was good for golf, all of it. And you can't help but talk about this tournament while celebrating Brooks Koepka's win, especially as Knowles, but in noting that it was nice to see Tiger do that. It really was. And I think those fans were obviously elated to see it. But it brings me to my point about Brooks. He's never going to be celebrated. Now, yesterday I understand it, and I understand that would have happened to anybody. Anybody. If Tiger was doing that to Jordan or anybody else, the same thing would have happened. They'd have been like, oh, there's Jordan. That's Tiger Woods on number 15. That's what they would have done. And that's fine. I think everybody gets that. Brooks doesn't care. He's understated. He doesn't like the limelight. He turned down, after winning the U.S. Open, the opportunity to go on the Tonight Show, to go on all the late-night talk shows. He turned down interviews all over the Golf Channel, the PGA Tour Channel. He'll do what he's required to do, and he'll be professional and nice and answer your questions. But he doesn't like it. He wants to go and be with his friends. He likes to get away from golf. When the tournament's over, he's with his girlfriend or his family or his friends, and they go to Vegas and they do whatever they're going to do, and they don't need the limelight. It comes with the success. It comes with the money. It comes with the tour sponsorships and all of that. But short of those responsibilities, he is not going to do anything outside of that to let people in. And it's not because he's a jerk. It's because he's got a life outside of golf, and he's not a golf nerd, as he has said. He doesn't watch a lot of golf, and he doesn't show that emotion on the course either. And so when you don't show emotion on the course, it's hard for people to get a sense, if you're apathetic, that you care as much as they do. And people gravitate towards those who participate in the sports we watch when they show that they care as deeply as we think they should, or as much as we do. And that's a us problem. It's not a player problem. It's an us problem, because everybody's different. They don't have to show you what you want to see. They just have to be professional, show up, do their job, play their best, and then you make of it what you will. But because that is true of Brooks Koepka, he is never going to be adored, and he can win another 2 or 3 or 4 majors, and he might very well do that because he is as steely as they come. But people are going to go, great, Brooks Koepka won. It's not quite the same as a foreign player. Listen, we get pretty jingoistic when it comes to our golf for whatever reason. I've happened to notice that in this country that we do, you and me.
It's like boxing.
It's interesting that way. Yeah, it happens maybe because it's an individual sport.
Yeah.
I think that's true. Soon the Ryder Cup, it'll be on display.
Oh, buddy.
But what I find fascinating about that is when we watch the sport, if a guy doesn't give a lot back and he's just a nice dude,
Yeah.
We're like, okay. You know, like I know Thomas Peters blew up, but I kept texting you like, listen here, Thomas Peters. I mean, I was like, you can go to hell. Stop this nonsense. You're going to birdie 9 holes in a row. Get the hell out of here, Thomas Peters. You're Thomas Peters.
I like that guy because he looked
I
like he
like
was
him
going to
too.
throw up for the first match of the Ryder Cup, and he ends up winning 4 points by the end of the weekend.
He's amazing. He's a great golfer. Yesterday, I'm saying, you're a fly in the ointment, my man.
Yeah,
what are
yeah.
you doing here? That's Brooks Koepka, Tiger Woods, and Adam Scott. Know your place. So, I mean, and it's not his fault, right? I'm wrong in this. I'm just saying
Sure.
that's the view, I think, of people watching that tournament.
Yeah, Brooks and Tiger, that's as good as it gets for me these days. That's all I want. And I couldn't believe that we were watching that for a few holes that looked like, man, I don't know, are these two going to be playing in a playoff?
Woo!
And could you imagine that? But
Yeah.
that's just greed talking too. That's the other human nature thing. We got the time capsule Sunday that we've always
We've been
wanted to get.
And when the guy, and I'll tell you this, and I'm of this mindset, I think Brooks is one of the guys that came around post-Tiger, helped, shape him and several of the other young guys that can handle it, that aren't afraid and will not buckle. And it's Brooks atop that list of those that will not buckle. I know Jordan Spieth's a 3-time champion, but he has shown us moments where he'll buckle, and he gets fearful of one guy in particular, Tiger Woods. And how do I know that? He said it to his caddy at Carnoustie, wasn't it?
Yes, this is the most proud thing of the last month is that the same situation from two different players, because Jordan was playing behind Tiger too, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they take two different tacks.
Two very different tacks. Listen, Brooks doesn't care.
And you know, though, that there is adrenaline and there is a little bit of concern within Brooks. But he'll never let you know. And he'll respond to it. He almost wills himself into believing that it's not going to phase him at all. But there has to be an impact when Tiger roars are out there.
Listen, at some point, there will be a day where Brooks will yank a shot left when he's in contention to win, because it's golf and it happens and it's hard, and emotion and adrenaline get the best of all of us. But it's not going to be because he lacks toughness. It's not going to be because he doesn't have the mental, certainly not the physical fortitude to handle it. It's going to be because golf's hard and you don't always get that right. But one thing I do know, if it's a checklist of things, if it's toughness, if it's breathing, if it's a mind's eye approach, if it's whatever it is that he needs to do to execute shots, he's going to do it, and it's not going to be influenced by the greatness of a Tiger Woods or anybody else that's coming along playing great in that moment. Adam Scott, right alongside him, was hitting great shot after great shot after great shot, and in many ways, for a long stretch of time yesterday, was outplaying Brooks Koepka. And then he wasn't, because Brooks never wilted. He just kept playing. And even after the back-to-back bogeys in the front 9, that opened the door for Justin and Tiger and Adam and others to get there, he didn't get upset. He didn't begin to press. I'm going to be maybe a little unfair here briefly before we go to break. But I never thought for a second that Gary Woodland had a shot in hell of going out there on Sunday and winning. And I didn't think, partly A, because who he was playing with, and B, I just have never seen him do that yet. Maybe he will. Maybe he'll learn it. You've talked about it. Others have talked about it. Dr. Brett McCabe has talked about it on a show that I co-host with Trey. Until you do it, you don't know you can do it, and you have to find a way to do it. And once you do, then you understand, this is how I deal with adrenaline. This is how I deal with the moment. This is how I breathe. This is how I get past nervousness, right? But Gary hasn't, and we haven't seen it. And immediately he revealed it was going to be difficult for him.
Yeah, and that's where the Tiger story gets interesting, is because he's just learned how to do it again. That's what the fist pump on 18 is about.
Oh, without question. And it's also the reason that you and I were having the conversation. Look, it's catching up. It's catching up to the game. The game has been slowly coming back. But the mental aspect on the back 9...
Yeah, he cleared the hurdle. Now, he still had 2 bad shots at key moments. One was the 14 tee shot with an iron in his hand. And if you're going to have a bad drive, you might as well hit the driver. Yeah. But then the one on 17, obviously. And that's the difference for Brooks, is he had some downs in that front 9, and then he missed a couple of easy putts on 13, 14.
Never saw the emotion there, though.
Missed one on 17. But look at the tee shot response to both the good and the bad. 17, right down. Well, actually starts at 15 at long par 4.
Well, they're piped.
Right down the middle. The tee shot on 16 from 248 with a 4-iron to inside 10 feet. On 17, the par 5, he doesn't end up making birdie there, but the tee shot's the most important thing, because once you're in the fairway, you're not making 6.
There's no disaster.
Right, and then on 18 to close it out.
I think the sad thing in all of this, and I'm really happy for Brooks Koepka, so sad's relative, Adam Scott's got to make the putt on 17. I mean, come on. You make that putt and make it a one-stroke difference going to 18, and who knows what happens. But when he misses that putt, it is over.
Yep.
It is over.
Yeah.
And I'm not taking anything away from Brooks because he is, as we've described him. But when Adam missed that putt, I went, oh, that's going to eat at you. Because you got to put game pressure, for lack of a better term, on the guy. You got to make him think, I can't hit this shot. Like, Brooks could have gone a little left or a little right on 18, and he's not going to make triple.
Yeah, and it could have been that Adam makes a birdie on 18 and Brooks makes par, and here we go. We're in the playoff.
Right.
Yeah, but, you weren't – when Brooks was standing over that tee shot on 18, I had no doubt. He lives for that. He wants that moment. He chases that moment, and because he knows he's going to crush that moment.
He's actually more susceptible with an iron in his hand to yanking it left and making a mistake from the fairway than he is from mishitting the drive.
Yeah.
As we saw.
18. Shinnecock,
He yanked it into that side area, and we're like, ooh, that was a loose shot. But he's more apt to do that than he is mishit the drive, which is an infinitely more difficult thing to do, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing. All right, Florida State's back practicing. Congratulations to Brooks Koepka. That's 3 majors. And you talk about a boost not just for his career, it's an amazing thing, but for Florida State golf, which has been on the uptick since Trey Jones took over.
Cold-blooded, that guy.
It's fun, isn't it?
Yes. I enjoy it thoroughly. Even if the world doesn't, that was fantastic.
Well, and again, I think the world would enjoy it more if it wasn't this redemptive story of a comeback from a 40-something-year-old man that's had his back fused and fallen from grace off the course. I mean, there's a lot going on there. If that's some other slappy chasing him, they're like, well, good for Brooks. Look at that kid.
Well, yeah, if it's Kisner that wins it or something, I'm like, well, good God, man.
No,
so I'd fall into that trap. But Brooks is starting to do something that's not just a cute story for Knoll fans. He's starting to do something where, ooh, what do we have here?
Well, now he has to decide whether or not he'd like to win a non-major at some point. We need you to – he's got one other win.
He was ripping himself constantly last night. He said, I focus for the majors. I don't for the regulars.
Got to figure out a way to win some other events, my man. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men on a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
And we're back with another edition of Spring Cleaning. Today, we want to know how you save energy, water, and money during a warmer season. Caller, you're on the air. What do you do to save energy?
With the warmer temperature, I know my AC is working overtime, so I make sure to replace my AC filter once a month.
Excellent suggestion. Next caller, you're on the air.
Well, the city of Tallahassee recommends that I take advantage of their grants and loans to get more installation in my attic. That's really going to keep my cooling costs down.
These are some great suggestions. There are lots of ways to save. Caller, you're on the air.
I reduce energy for water heating by lowering my water heater temperature and installing low-flow shower heads.
We have time for one more caller. What do you have for us?
I make sure to use my programmable thermostat to regulate the temperature in my home when I'm away.
Thank you, caller. That's all the time we have today.
The City of Tallahassee Utilities would like to help you save as much energy as you can and save money while you're at it. Visit talgov.com for more information and start saving energy today.
So, Jeff.
Yeah.
I run into these ladies named Kathy and Grace.
Mm-hmm.
They love you, by the way.
Oh, they're smart people already.
Oh, my gosh. And darling ladies. They were at Bumpus, and they were telling me how they went to Gordo's and that it wasn't open yet. And I said, no, we are open, ma'am.
I could have assured them that it is most definitely open.
This week, we'll be in process of moving. Now, I know it's sad. I've been there for...
I'm a little emotional. I love the old Gordo's. You're telling me the new Gordo's is going to be better, though?
Well, the Gordo's and Market Square, the old Gordo's on Pensacola Street.
It's not going anywhere.
Still open. Still open, going to be there.
For life.
I hope so, God willing. And if you're on this side of town, you can always come eat at Bumpus.
New one is open when? A week, 2 weeks, something like that?
I'm shooting for a week, Jeff.
All right, I like it.
Shooting for a week and
same
maybe
great
two.
Food, same mahi, new drink specials,
new
more
drink
beer?
specials, more beers. We'll have a patio.
All right.
We're going to have, with fans and everything. It's going to be highfalutin, Jeff.
Highfalutin, the new Gordo's in a week or two. And in the meantime, go to Bumpus.
In the meantime, please come check out Bumpus.
All right. Yay, new Gordo's. We'll see you soon.
Right on.
Hi, I'm Chris York with Monogram Art. While our name mentions monograms, we are a lot more than that. We offer a full line of corporate apparel to businesses and organizations, and we carry clothing brands such as Cutter & Buck, Nike Golf, Port Authority, and caps from Richardson, Outdoor Cap, Ahead, Yupong, and many more. We have the ability to create custom embroidered apparel that your employees will be proud to wear. So swing by our showroom at 2522 Capitol Circle Northeast or find us online at monogramart.com. Let us help you wear your brand.
Are you tired of getting the same two-piece kits? Cornerstone Tool & Fastener and DeWalt have your answer. Buy a 1/4-inch 3-speed impact kit with 2 4-amp-hour batteries and receive a free 1/4-inch 3-speed impact kit. That's correct. You get 2 DeWalt 3-speed impact kits for the price of 1, only at Cornerstone Tool & Fastener. While you're there, check out the power of freedom. FlexVolt 60-volt tools from chainsaws to string trimmers, blowers, and even compressors. Cornerstone has the largest DeWalt selection in Tallahassee, 1110 Stuckey Ave and 3269 Crawfordville Highway. Tallahassee location open on Saturdays from 8 a.m. until noon.
The new Fox and Stag, Tallahassee's local craft cocktail bar in the heart of Midtown on Thomasville Road and 5th Avenue, featuring a newly expanded liquor menu including limited release scotches, whiskeys, and bourbons, as well as unique spirits distilled right here in Florida. If wine is your thing, swing by and try one of Fox and Stag's hand-selected bottles from their ever-expanding wine list, or simply enjoy one by the glass paired with a charcuterie board or delicious small plates. Sometimes you just want a cold beer, and Fox and Stag has you covered too, with rotating drafts and bottles sure to quench your thirst. Come by for a drink and stay for the company, Tuesday through Saturday from 5 p.m. to 2 a.m. For catering or private parties, message Fox and Stag on Facebook.
It's been called shell shock, war neurosis, and battle fatigue. Today, we call it post-traumatic stress disorder, and it affects 1 out of every 5 warriors returning from battle in Iraq and Afghanistan. The Wounded Warrior Project offers comfort and support for warriors with PTSD and all other scars of war, whether those scars are visible or hidden. Find out how to help, because for warriors, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. Please visit woundedwarriorproject.org.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
In this week, or at least today, second full pad practice for them. A lot of talk of Florida State getting adjusted to the pace as they try to work in up tempo. But I don't think really, again, not a lot of storylines out of camp so far other than the ones we expected, right? Which is you got a quarterback battle, nobody really emerging just yet definitively, at least not as noted by the head coach. And you know, the talent in the secondary, the depth of athleticism and talent there was something everybody knew, and it's continuing to kind of be a buzz, just like the offensive backfield is at running back in particular, which you knew. Question marks at the offensive line remain a question. So just not a lot other than Brian Burns emerging as an absolute beast in this camp, and let's hope that is something that portends of greatness in the fall, in the start of the season here. Corey Clark is down in Bradenton covering for the least first couple days of practice down there, and he'll join us in the 4 o'clock hour. But with the lack of things really kind of jumping off the page, other than I guess if you want to say that Bailey Hockman thinking that he or suggesting that he'd like to believe anyhow that he's at the forefront or leading the quarterback competition. I mean, maybe you could derive some talking points from that. I think all people in the midst of competition would like to believe they're leading and certainly would like to indicate if it's even that they think they have an edge, but that's really not news to me.
Well, he did take the first team reps in the quote-unquote speed portion, the open portion of practice today, but everybody got some time with the ones as it goes along. And Walt Bell said as much when we asked him, when we had the official offensive coordinator's press conference, that these things are going to swing wildly day to day. This is not going to be, we're going to tab somebody early and it's going to stay static. This is going to be a dynamic process. So, I mean, it could be that Bailey was telling the truth for a day. If he started out with the ones and James Blackman was working with the twos, then that's the case for Monday, August 13th. But, camp doesn't end on Monday, August 13th, so there's a long way to go.
I'd be really surprised if Bailey Hockman won. Very, very, very surprised. And it's not a knock against Bailey Hockman. He's competing against two guys that have had a year's worth of starting experience in the big moments. And so even if Bailey Hockman is even slightly better than those two individuals, and that's a big if, but even if he were, I still don't think he'd get the nod for the reasons that I just gave. The other ones have started games, big games, on the road, etc. They have a full year's worth of experience. Bailey would have to so far exceed what they've done in practice. And, oh, by the way, he hasn't. He hasn't, not at all. So there's no reason to think that that's going to occur. On this note, a lot of questions over the weekend about that story out of Maryland. And the Durkin story, as he has now been put on paid administrative leave. Let me just tell you, and I had a chance to work a lot this weekend on SiriusXM. I don't say that to brag. I say that because I've had to become more knowledgeable about that story than I'd like, because it's a sad, tragic story of a 19-year-old man that dies in a way that used to happen in football a little bit more frequently, but should never happen now with modern technology and the means by which to monitor kids. And they do that all over college football. So that death was completely unnecessary, should have never happened. But people have asked in my inbox whether or not Walt Bell would face any blowback with player abuse allegations at Maryland. And my answer is going to be no, I don't think so. By the way, for starters, he wasn't there when the Jordan McNair thing happened. He had already come aboard at Tallahassee. This happened in May. The young man died in June, 2 weeks after he was taken to the hospital. So, no, I don't think that there's anything to that. But as far as player abuse allegations go, it sounds an awful lot like Rick Court and others have a lot to answer for when it comes to the workout regimens and the things that were going on in the weight room. The accusations there, I spoke to Adam Rittenberg over the weekend, one of the lead writers for ESPN, ESPN.com College Football Insider, who helped write that story. Those accusations are coming from former and current players as well as former staff members. So I find that fascinating. I doubt we'll be able to get Walt Bell to talk about this on the record, understandably. There are a lot of factors that weigh into that, but sounds like they had a problem with culture there.
It was hard not to think back on that press conference on the Sunday before camp when Walt Bell says, it's a relief to work for a good guy. It makes it easier to be a salesman, to go out and pitch the university because he genuinely cares about the kids. I don't know that Walt was speaking about it in a loaded way on purpose. But I think that his experiences had him probably jaded in a way. That when he got here to Tallahassee and he saw the way that Willie was running the operation, he was relieved. And it had to be something to do with his experience at Maryland, because you wouldn't be surprised by an earnest person like Willie, who's engaging and has a priority for the student athlete, unless you've come from a place previously in your career where the opposite was true, that the coach is one person in front of the microphone and somebody else completely behind the scenes. And that's probably what he was alluding to some degree.
Yeah, DJ Durkin's not going to make it there. And you know what? Will Muschamp could come out and say that he thinks it's cowardly that people give quotes off the record or anonymously about a player or a coach or a staff member. But that's well and good, Will. These people aren't always in a position of power where if the person who has, in fact, perpetrated these acts retains his job, that they can be able to move forward without repercussions. So I understand why people would be off the record there. DJ Durkin and his staff, and in particular Rick Court, the strength and conditioning coach, this isn't going to end well. I don't know what's true and what's not true at Maryland, but you can't have A number of former players and current players, as well as staff members and former staff members, say these things about Durkin, Court, and the atmosphere at Maryland. Quote, fear and intimidation is the atmosphere. In one example, a player holding a meal while in a meeting had the meal slapped from his hands in front of the team. Other times, small weights and objects were thrown in the direction of players whenever Court was angry. Belittling, humiliation, embarrassment of players is commonplace. And in one example, a player whom coaches wanted to lose weight forced him to eat candy bars in front of his teammates until he was sick. What are we doing? What are we? There's never a reason that that's okay. You know, this isn't Full Metal Jacket. This is what are we doing?
Well, and these are men too. These aren't even. Not that it's better to do it to a 12 or 13-year-old, but it's just it's incredible the power that coaches have in a situation like that. Because if you just think about how strong these kids are in colleges, I mean, there's an easy answer for that.
Yeah. No.
Right.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do?
Yeah. Former Maryland staffer said in the article written by Rittenberg, I would never, ever, ever allow my child to be coached there. Okay. I mean, that's as strong as it gets. And you had several of these kinds of things. That's just not, it's not going to end well. That's sad to hear about because it's really preventable. It's really dumb. And in this case, it turned tragic. But when you do these, let's say you're running 10 110-yard sprints as they were doing at Maryland when this incident occurred, you know, the GPS devices and the detection, the availability, the ways in which they can monitor athletes has been so advanced that you can push athletes to the brink and you can challenge them to get more out of their athletic prowess and their conditioning than they thought possible. And you can obviously be really tough on a kid. I think that's commonplace. It's a fine line. I understand how that works. I talked with Rick Neuheisel about this on Saturday night, and he said, listen, there's plenty of video of me out there yelling at kids to be better, but usually it's about what I think they're capable of or instructing what they did wrong in the drill. It's not attacking who they are as people. It's not attacking their character or their very being. It's not calling them names. This is the fifth time I've told you we throw this here when the safety's here. If you can't read this defense or you don't understand your cues, then you're not going to play here. Get out of my line next. That's fine. You can do that all day. If a kid's not giving effort, you can talk about it's paramount that you give effort or I can't play you. You're not going to be in good enough shape. You're not going to be strong enough. You're not going to be capable. I won't put you in the games. That's all fair and good. And I get that somewhere along in there's all kinds of interesting anecdotes about coaches and the things they would say to players. But there's always been a difference in players, anybody who's ever played can tell you, between the coach that you knew loved you dearly and said things to motivate you born out of that love, and those that are attacking the very fabric of your being and did so out of hate, self-loathing, and character flaws.
Yeah, so revisiting Walt Bell's story about getting in the car and driving, it may not have been just because Florida State was one of the 6 or 7 places that you go to when they call you. It might have been that he is running from the one place in the country that we know of now that if you can get a job that's not in Maryland, you leave the job in Maryland.
Yeah, sounds like it. And meanwhile, that situation at Ohio State continued to develop as well, which is a really crazy story. So you have this situation now where this week Zach Smith will be interviewed by the 6-person committee investigating Ohio State. That situation is such where Zach Smith now feels so confident that he did nothing wrong, emboldened, if you will, that he is now going to ask for his job back. That ain't going to happen. But what is going to be interesting is to get to the bottom of what Urban Meyer knew, when did he know it, his wife, all of those things to be true. But I thought this story, and I wished it had been confirmed, but it's not, from Jeff Snook, whom I've never heard of, but he is described as an Ohio State insider. Either way, on Facebook, he was the one that started the stir by saying that the source for Brett McMurphy, the former ESPN reporter who broke the Ohio State story, was, in fact, Tom Herman. And that, if true, would have been fantastic. But unfortunately, Brett McMurphy said he unequivocally can deny that that his source is not Tom Herman. Tom Herman also said, I'm not Brett McMurphy's source. Nobody I know has ever spoken to Brett McMurphy about what's happening at Ohio State. Coach at Texas, the former offensive coordinator at Ohio State when they won a national championship, had left the program and then called Brett McMurphy to say, by the way, that guy's a piece of crap. Listen to this. Wouldn't that have been a good story? Except for it's not true. At least according to Brett McMurphy.
Well, yeah, what do you do in that situation? I mean, you have to deny it, right? If you're Brett, even if it is your source, if you're protecting your source, what's the rule there for journalists? People can't just start playing a guessing game of who your source is.
Well, and he said, his quote was that he's never given up. In fact, I'll read his quote just for clarification. Brett McMurphy said this when asked about a response to Jeff Snook's claim. I have never revealed my sources in my nearly 4-decade journalistic career, and I'm not going to start now. However, I will say unequivocally that Tom Herman is not my source. That's an over-the-top denial. You wouldn't have to do that. The second part you wouldn't do. The first part is what you would have done.
But if you leave that first sentence by itself, people will say, oh, well, that's Herman. That's definitely Herman.
Which is unfair, too. But, yeah, I hope in some ways it is Herman.
Long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this. It's right here, guys. We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Hit reply all and type in MetroDeliTally.com. Enjoy your promotion. Oh, yeah. Metro Deli. MetroDeliTally.com.
Do you use the expensive blue or yellow pills to charge your sex life? Are you thinking about it? What if we can promise you the same results for less than $3 a pill? If you're paying $20 a pill for the other pills, you're getting taken to the cleaners. Our pills deliver the exact same results for less than $3. You'll save more than $16 a pill for the same results. And right now, radio callers will get 44 blue or yellow pills for $120 with free discreet shipping. You can save more than $700 off pharmacy prices. Charge your sex life now and save a ton of money. Call now and get your 44 pills and save over $700 and qualify for free shipping. Stop overpaying and call right now.
800-748-6805. 800-748-6805. 800-748-6805. That's 800-748-6805.
You know what? It's time you level up your lemon lime with clear, refreshing Mountain Dew Ice. We get it. You're used to a certain kind of lemon lime experience. But why settle for this when you could have this? You want a fist bump that ends in one of those fake explosions?
Hey, Charles.
Or a fist bump that ends in an actual explosion?
Hey, Charles.
Want to pull up to the party on this? Or arrive in this? Take this last second shot? Or make the last second shot? Make this musical request? Or this one? So yeah, you can keep drinking the same old, but we think you'll like the exploding fist bump, last second shot, showing up to the party properly way to lemon lime, right? Mountain Dew Ice. Clear, refreshing lemon lime, redefined.
Don't just listen to The Jeff Cameron Show. Watch it live. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Live weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. Head to ESPNTallahassee.com today to watch live or catch up on demand. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Brought to you by Nice Tire and Auto, your trusted Goodyear dealer.
Nice Tire and Auto, just minutes away from FSU campus.
Where is your there? Your happy place? Your go-to destination? Maybe it's that hidden cove by the lake, or that place an hour and a half away on Route 6 that serves the world's best meatloaf. Or maybe it's home. At Valero, we have the fuel to get you there, wherever there is. Because Valero top-tier certified quality fuel keeps your engine running cleaner, better, and longer. Find a station near you at ValeroCleanGas.com.
Pros in the know start with Lowe's. Because at Lowe's, pros save money on the supplies they use most, like Select Concrete Mix, now 20% off when you buy in bulk. Plus, save 5% on eligible purchases every day when you use your Lowe's Business Credit Account. Stop by the Pro Desk or visit Lowe'sForPros.com for details. So, Pro, now that you know, start with Lowe's. Credit offer subject to credit approval. Can't be combined with other credit offers. Exclusions apply. U.S. only.
Broadcasting live from the AmeriGas Propane Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. On a scale from 1 to 10, how surprised would you be if Bailey Hockman won the job? He seemed confident this morning, saying, "I'd like to say I'm the front runner." That's bold, and his game matches what Taggart likes. Thoughts? Well, Big Papa East, I shall respond to your tweet. I'd be stunned. I don't think he has any. I won't say any chance, but not much of one. I'll get Corey's thoughts on this here in a minute, but I don't know.
The thing is, he's really accurate from what I saw in the open practice, and then reading the reports of others, it kind of mirrors what I saw last Tuesday, which is he's quite accurate. If it needs to be on the lead shoulder, it is. Back shoulder, it is, that kind of thing. But it does take an extra half tick for the ball to get where it needs to go, especially on those perimeter throws when you're looking and counting in the pre-snap. That doesn't mean that he doesn't have a decent arm. James Blackman has a cannon if he needs it to be, and DeAndre Francois' velocity looks like it has increased since we last saw him. His mechanics are pretty clean.
I always felt like his arm was fine. He's just not as accurate as I'd like him to be.
Well, down the field, I think James Blackman has him beat with that throw. The question is when you get outside the numbers, right, and defenses are stacking the box, and the counting principle that we used to talk about with Jimbo, you need to get the ball outside as quick as possible. Does DeAndre have enough strength to get it there? Yes. Does Bailey? Probably, but he's not. He doesn't have the most arm talent on the team, so he'd have to do it by just sheer precision and far and away more precision than the other two.
Yeah, and he may end up being the more accurate passer because that is the knock on both of the others, but those two have better arms, and DeAndre is really quick. And so, again, I think that as we were grading the quarterback competition just till now, there's no clear-cut winner. But if there was a guy that was ahead ever so slightly, I think most people who have had a chance to watch camp, and I'm amongst those, would say that DeAndre has a slight edge. But he's not running away with it. It hasn't been definitive. In some ways, this could progress to being a problem. I don't think it is right now. Of course not. It's the 13th. We've got a little time, but you would prefer as a coach not to have a quarterback battle linger well into camp, because it limits the amount of reps you can give your starting quarterback for that first game, because you're trying to divide them evenly. At some point, somebody needs to win the damn job. You decide on that and say, here's our guy, and you give him the reps necessary for that first game to have enough under his belt, especially in a new offense. You'd like to focus on a guy and say, that's our guy, give him everything we got, so we know what we have going into this first game. If this lingers until you're a week out, that's not a good situation. It feels an awful lot like you have three quarterbacks, which means you have none if that continues.
But the good news is I would lean towards it's for if you can say this, it's for a good reason, not a bad reason. if you have two players that have a full year of experience under their belt, it's more likely, it's not impossible it goes the other way, but it's more likely that Bailey is coming up a level versus the other two are coming down a level, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense with James Blackman. Francois has missed a full season, basically, so I could see where he would be rusty and struggling and could get surpassed momentarily or struggling to catch up. But that hasn't been the case so far. I don't believe this will linger on too long. I actually think by the time we get to the end of the week this week or early next, you're going to hear something that's going to give it away. This is a good week of practice. The stuff that they accomplish at IMG is important this week. It's less about IMG and more about where we are in practice now that we're regularly out there in pads. Let's go. Let's start to discern something here. They're able to implement a little bit more here on offense and up the tempo, and I think you'll start to see people separate themselves here.
Yeah, as of a week ago, I think we both agree that Francois is easily the most fluid out there, but that doesn't mean he has the best footwork for what we're asking quarterbacks to do. I think Hockman actually did have the best footwork. He had it down. He has the details down, if you will. But when DeAndre's going right compared to the other two, you can tell it looks more natural. It looks more dangerous if you're scouting against it. So I would still think he's the leader in the clubhouse with an outside shot for James Blackman. But, I mean, if he's still taking first-team reps by Thursday when the media is allowed to watch the open portions, then, I mean, you're going to have to take Bailey Hockman seriously at some point.
Yeah, and I haven't dismissed him to the extent that I feel like it's unfair. He's worthy of it. As Ira put it last week, he's worthy of the competition. Corey Clark is down there in Bradenton at IMG. Saw some of today's practice. Had a chance to talk with Willie Taggart. He'll join us next. We'll get more insight from him. Jeff Cameron Show rolls on in a moment.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Blountstown Highway, 574-4100.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this. It's right here, guys. We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Now is the time to shower up with style.
Call today, Whitten Glass, the real glass people, 222-5781, or online at whittenglass.com, WHIDDON. Whitten, Tallahassee's first family in glass since 1945, 222-5781.
Are you ready to experience an awesome fishing expedition? Sea Quarters Marina is home to several great charter services. All charters are customized based upon the types of fishing opportunities available and the type of fishing the customer requests. The Northwest Gulf Coast offers a variety of different angling adventures thanks to unspoiled back county islands and crystal clear flats. For more information regarding charters, call Sea Quarters Marina at 697-8400 or online at seaquartersmarina.com.
Games for Less, the only locally owned and operated gaming store in town, has Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used video games and game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachia Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
I just can't stop scratching. Struggling to get relief from itching due to your atopic dermatitis, also known as eczema? If so, you may qualify for a clinical study testing an investigational medication for the itch associated with atopic dermatitis. Qualified participants will receive study-related care at no charge. Call 1-844-777-4824, 1-844-777-ITCH, or visit advandastudy.com for more information on how to participate. Sponsored by Vanda Pharmaceuticals.
Driving every day from the AmeriGas studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. This is what you need to know. After taking his physical, free agent forward Carmelo Anthony signed his one-year, $2.4 million contract with the Rockets today. Anthony also received $25.4 million of his original salary for the 2018-2019 season, minus a $2.4 million buyout with Atlanta. Anthony is expected to come off the bench for Houston this season. NFL, Dolphins quarterback Ryan Tannehill made an example of rookie Kalen Ballage at practice yesterday, kicked him out of the huddle after he missed a blocking assignment that resulted in a clean sack. Not a great show of leadership by Tannehill, who missed all of last season with a torn ACL, in the opinion of ESPN's Ryan Clark.
First of all, who are you? Bro, like, what have you done? Tell me what you've done to treat people this way. Because we're all pros now. Ryan Tannehill didn't play a snap last year. And so when you embarrass him, when you degrade him, when you kick him out of the huddle and then go to the sideline and continue going at his head, this doesn't make me want to play for you.
Baseball, Cardinals look to run their winning streak to 6 straight when they host the Nationals tonight. St. Louis 5.5 back of the NL Central leading Cubs and is 2.5 out of the second NL wildcard spot. Golf, U.S. Ryder Cup captain Jim Furyk remained poised today when it comes to Tiger Woods' chances of making the Ryder Cup team. Furyk said he wanted to let the process play out until his first 3 picks are announced September 4th. He added what's important is how well Tiger has played, 6th at the British Open and 2nd at the PGA Championship. College football, Florida receiver Van Jefferson, who transferred from Ole Miss in January, is eligible for the 2018 season after receiving a waiver from the SEC. He needed that waiver in order to avoid sitting out a season per NCAA rules.
Broadcasting live from the AmeriGas Propane Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio. Hope you're well. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. Let's go down to Bradenton. Let's go down and talk to our friend Corey Clark, warchant.com, right off the bat here, as he's down there covering the events at IMG. First and foremost, hello, brother. How are you?
I'm good, buddy. How are you, man?
I'm good. I know you're tired. You're not accustomed to getting up early. But what led to the press being allowed to cover this after it was so top secret last week when we were told of these practices?
I think once they signed the multi-year deal, so they established that it was going to not be a one-off, but it was going to be a tradition, something they did every year. Then that's when it became available. That's when they were able to publicize it.
Well, why does that make any difference?
I don't know, man. It's a stupid, archaic NCAA rule. I know that Northwestern every year goes to some place in Illinois, some small college or something, and media there because they've been doing it for so long. And I know we were told that the first time we would go get to watch Florida State at IMG would be in like 2021 after they had established that it's something they did every year. But I guess by signing a contract saying they were going to do it, it made it an annual thing where, okay, this is going to be something they do every year. So now I don't know. I'm telling you what I was told. You hear me talking. It really doesn't make a lot of sense. It's a dead period anyway, so I don't really know how much it impacts recruiting. But here we are in beautiful Bradenton, Florida, your neck of the woods.
Well, yeah, my folks live down there now, and if I were there, I could save you because there are actually parts of Bradenton that are great. Not all, but there are plenty.
Right.
There are areas that I could take you to, buddy.
The
We'd be
beach?
hanging
Should I
out.
go to a beach? Should I go to the Anna Maria beach? Santa Maria?
Yeah,
Santa Maria?
it's beautiful down there. Yeah, you can.
Okay.
There are several
All right.
things. When we get done with the the interview here, buddy, I'll text you some spots. All right?
No. Let's just talk about the places to go in Bradenton.
No, for the entire time, I like it. I like that idea. Yeah. Well, you could go to the Marine Lab there. There's an incredible Marine Lab, buddy. You got to go to it. You should.
I think I've been there once. I saw them feed manatees heads of lettuce.
Yeah, that they do have that. There's also a shark place. I'll send you that. And then Motorworks.
Beautiful.
Have you been there yet? Have you been to the brewery there?
I mean, come on. Do they have Mick Ultra?
They have everything. They actually do have Mick Ultra for cowards like yourself. But Motorworks has it's you should try some of the local flavor, man. Just give it a go.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see.
I could have my mom run by and say, hey, she's fantastic. You guys would really hit it off. You could talk a little while. She could tell you about all the places you should go to eat with your friends and all that good stuff.
All right, buddy. We'll make it happen.
I'm going to tell.
All right. Well, this has been great.
Yeah, good talking to you, and we'll check in again tomorrow morning. Okay, we'll do something like that.
Good stuff.
Hey, so honestly, before I get to your observations from today, I do want to ask you about the story that's posted on warchant.com because, as you know, I have said over and over again, and I think it's probably the overriding concern for most fans for Florida State this year, the offensive line. And you wrote a story on Juwan Williams, who hasn't been able to really fulfill his promise or his potential on the field because of injuries, and now he's 100%. So let's get big picture here. What'd you learn in that interview? And I'm excited about what you wrote there and the opportunity he has.
Yeah, that's a big deal, right? Because I don't know if you've been paying attention the last couple of years, Jeff, but the offensive line has been a bit of a concern at Florida State. And I think it's last year they were 105th in the nation in sacks allowed. The year before they were 103rd. I mean, that's preposterous at a place like Florida State. You should never be that bad. And again, we know some of it was 12 held onto the ball too long, and Blackman was a true freshman that probably held onto the ball too long. Still, protect your guys. And they just weren't good there. So having a good left tackle, a guy that maybe kind of has the prototypical size of an NFL left tackle and can really move, like we'll see how good he is. I don't expect him to be great his first year because it's his first year playing. But, man, if you watch him in practice, he can really move his feet. And he's a big dude. He's 6'7", 290. He says he'd like to get up over 300, but, I mean, 6'7", 290 is no joke. And he can really move, but the most important thing, and we have to take him for his word, is that he says the shoulder is 100% healthy.
Yeah.
That he's healthy with the shoulder. And that's a really big deal for an offensive line that hasn't been very good in a while.
Yeah, and for people who don't know, he was redshirted in 2016 and had surgery on that shoulder before the season, and then last year he had to have surgery again. And I take it that was the same shoulder, right?
Yeah, and yes, and you know, man, shoulders are dicey for anyone. Heck, man, my shoulder's still messed up from a basketball injury 3 years ago. But for offensive line, I mean, that's the livelihood. You can't have messed up shoulders, so. Remember Andrew Datko? I think that's why he had to quit football.
That is exactly
because of
why.
His shoulders.
Yeah.
That maybe he wasn't great at it. But more than anything, it was his shoulders. I think he had a chance to be a NFL lineman. So that's what you worry about when somebody so young has already had 2 shoulder surgeries. But for now, he says that he's, that was before they put on the pads, but he says he feels 100%.
I'm excited about it.
He's still working with the first team.
Well, that's good news. And I want to ask you this, too, because I think we're at that place now where, all right, the excitement of practice starting, the opportunity to see it, all of those things lead to an uptick in emotion and you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. But then you hit that lull a little bit where you're like, okay, I'm ready for some games here. The only way that you see sort of the stirring on the boards, if you will, again, is when there's talk of quarterbacks in particular. And Bailey Hockman seems to think he's going to win the job, Corey.
Well, he does, but isn't that what you want? Isn't that what you want your third string quarterback to be like? Man, yeah, I belong here. I think I'm going to win the job. And I thought when I saw the quote, I think the quote was he said, because I wasn't with him, I was actually talking to Trey McKitty when Bailey Hockman was being interviewed, and the quote I believe was, "I feel like I'm the front runner right now, but who knows?"
Right.
Or it might have been, "I'd like to say I'm the front runner right now, but who knows?"
Yes, that's what he said.
And
yeah.
I thought when I saw that quote, I'm like, oh, somebody must have asked him, "Do you feel like you're the front runner right now?" But no, that wasn't the question. The question was, how do you feel done, or where do you see yourself in the competition? And so for him to think that, or actually, maybe he doesn't think it, but even to say it publicly, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. In fact, I think it would be weird if he was the other way. If he was like, well, guys, look, we know I'm not starting. I don't have a chance here. I mean, he's getting the reps with these other guys. But I wanted to ask you, like, I wouldn't just be surprised if Bailey Hockman started. I would be stunned.
Well, you have two players. You have two players ahead of him that have played a full season of quarterback at this level. Yes, if he won that job, it means he would have played extraordinarily well, and by far and away was the best player of the group. Because if it's even, he's not starting.
Right. If it's even close to even, he's not starting.
Right. So it would just mean that he so far surpassed their efforts.
Yeah.
Yes. But I don't. You and I watched the first week of practice. I wasn't walking away from that going, oh, my God, look at this kid. I mean, nobody said that. Nobody thought that
speak for yourself. I told you I thought he was a left-handed John Elway. So, I mean, I don't know what you're watching.
I didn't see anybody take the lead for the job last week. I said if they all had their moments, and I guess in a pinch I would have said DeAndre Francois was slightly ahead, but I didn't think that anybody was overwhelmingly good, but it's the first week of practice.
Yeah, that's how it's supposed to be, and I'm with you on that. I didn't think anybody was head and shoulders above anybody else, but yeah, Bailey Hockman would have to be head and shoulders above the other two guys with a full year of experience under their belt to get the job in especially when the opener is a Monday night against Virginia Tech. I mean, that's going to be your first start, and then in 2019 they're going to have 3 quarterbacks on their roster that have all started a full season. That would be something. But no, I would be stunned if he wins the job. But I also say this, he belongs here. This isn't, no offense to the kid, but this isn't J.J. Cosentino. Bailey Hockman can play. He belongs on Florida State's roster. I just think he's a year behind these guys, or 2 years behind Francois. And it's going to be really hard for him to beat those two guys out.
I'll get back to the players in a second, but for people who haven't been down there or ever seen video, what's IMG like?
It's crazy, man. That's why I just wrote my column about it. It's nuts. They have I didn't know how big it was, but they have athletic fields that seem to stretch on to the horizon. Like there's like 4 or 5 practice soccer fields, lacrosse fields. Like I'm saying, like soccer has its like 3 practice fields. The lacrosse team has 3 practice fields. The football team has 3 or 4 practice fields. There's 4 baseball diamonds. It's nuts. It's unlike anything I've ever seen, and they have a building for academics.
I remember.
So even academics, Jeff.
Yeah, even academics. Imagine that. Yeah. I don't know why they're wasting their time for all of that.
I don't either.
What are we doing?
So you must have remembered when it was like just Bolletary.
So I was going to tell you a funny story. I desperately wanted to go to the Bolletary Tennis Clinic. It was just the Nick Bolletary Clinic, as I recall it. And when I was playing, back in my glorious tennis days, Corey, and I would play 8 hours a day, I wanted to. I did. I used to want to be in Bolletary Clinic, but of course, there were guys like Andre Agassi, who were there instead of me and Sampras and others.
Jim Courier,
Jim Courier, and those guys all found their way through there. They were slightly better than me, so Bolletary went with them. Also, it would have been incredibly expensive, but yes, I do remember that when he founded IMG Academy, basically, and what a thing this has turned into now. And
but it wasn't it strictly, I know he's a tennis coach, wasn't it strictly tennis? Now it's morphed into everything, literally every sport.
Yeah, it was just tennis. It was only tennis, and for the longest time. And then, it's obviously turned into this other thing now where, listen, they're fascinating. It's an absurd, weird world to be in, but it is awe-inspiring. I mean, if that's your thing, if you're an elite athlete and you have the opportunity of a lifetime to perhaps procure a college scholarship or a chance to go play professional in something, I mean, these are the kinds of places you'd like to showcase your wares, right?
Sure, man. You get really good coaching. You get obviously great competition and practice. They have a sports science building. which they work on all that, everything you would want to work on if you're an athlete, with body movement and sports science. They have a building with lots of windows and a couple of floors dedicated essentially solely to that. I mean, imagine going to that kind of high school. It's like fame for athletes. It's just a nutty place. And there was a kid at Buford High, the Isaac Naughty kid that was committed to Florida State and ended up going to Georgia. He went to IMG with Malik Henry for like half a second. And I thought, man, why would you leave Buford High School, one of the preeminent public high school programs in the country, to go anywhere? Why would you do that? And then I looked at IMG and I'm like, okay, man, I get it. I get why somebody would come here. This place is just nuts if you're really into athletics.
Well, you should be milking it for all it's worth, given that, I know Gene's down there. You guys staying at the Wellness Spa or perhaps the Legacy Hotel there on IMG's campus? I know it exists.
Well, no, and trust me, Gene is a very he's a very accommodating boss, and he always looks out for us, and he pays us very handsomely. We're staying at the Holiday Inn.
Oh, that's a shame. So you're not staying at the Legacy Hotel there on campus?
No, but in fact, I think that's being built. It's not completely built yet, and we're not staying in the luxury apartments, which is where the Florida State football team is staying. So they're not staying in dorms. There are dorms for the actual IMG football team, but they're not staying there. The IMG football players are staying in the dorms. The Florida State players are staying in this luxury apartment complex right on campus, which is usually reserved for the parents of kids who are attending the school.
What did you see today at practice? Since it was open up, another full pad practice, I do believe, right? That's just their second full pad practice. Did you see anything that stood out?
Well, no, we only saw about 7 periods, so we didn't see any of the team stuff, the 11-on-11 or 7-on-7. We did see the tight ends attempt to try to block Brian Burns.
And that didn't work.
It was I was going to say it was ugly. It was actually kind of awe-inspiring. And it's on War Chant. That's a free quick plug if anybody wants to go see the film, because Aslan was the only one that got it. But what he did to those tight ends, it is amazing how fast that first move is. Whether it's a rip, a swim, or just going by them, they had zero chance. And in fact, Brian Burns, when he destroys someone, he'll let them know. But he did it 4 straight times. Like they all took turns with him, and he destroyed all of them. And when they were running off the field, the tight ends to another position group, of course, he yelled something at them. But Mark Snyder, the defensive end, wiped a smile off his face as he was getting ready to start another drill. It was just like a ear-to-ear smile, like, geez, I can't believe what I just saw. I mean, it is really jaw-dropping how quick he left them within a half a second. They were on their knees. And he was standing over him. It's nuts.
Well, one easy there, Killer. But one thing I'll say about all of that is that Brian Burns has been the star of camp up to this point, and he's also a guy who told all of us last year with a microphone that he was going to lead the country in sacks. And frankly, he kind of stunk. He had one good game against Clemson. Other than that, he was fairly useless. And so I really can't wait to see this play out. This does look different. He seems more serious. He says he learned his lesson from a year ago. He's more mature. He's taking better care of his body, and he seems hellbent on doing something dramatically different than from a year ago. Are you buying that that's what's going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's going to lead the country in sacks, but if he's healthy, I can guarantee he'll have more than 4 that he had last year. And I just think you're going to see a guy that looks a lot like the guy you saw against Clemson. I don't know, for whatever reason, why we only saw that against Clemson, but I think that's a guy that has been dominating camp. To the point, he's dominating camp like what we'd hear stories about Jernigan dominating camp, where they just would finally say, you can't practice anymore, man. We got to get some plays run. I think it's to that point. And, we'll see if it translates. I don't think that number one, we know Burns can do it. We've seen it. He's got 14 sacks in 2 years. It's not some guy that's been low on the depth chart that's all of a sudden burst onto the scene that you're kind of cynical about. So we know he can do it. And I'm telling you, it's just not normal the way people are talking about what he's doing. I think he can be like an All-American type candidate this year. I would be like Bailey Hockman, starting quarterback, stunned if he didn't have a really good season, because it's pretty remarkable to watch him in person, how quick he is.
Yeah,
I don't know if he was hurt last year or didn't have the confidence. I don't know what it was, but he looks like a different dude.
Yeah, he told me when you and I were up there at ACC meetings, he did say that he needed to learn a lot more about technique and how to bring it on every play, and he needed to take better care of his body and all this stuff. So it seems like it's all adding up. I think the things, and this will be the final thing, Corey, I think the thing that we knew going in, or the items that we were aware of going into camp, are the exact same things that are playing out in camp. Like, you knew the offensive line was a bit of concern. Seems like it should be a bit of a concern. It's been okay, but, again, we're not getting to see everything we would like to see, but they don't look dominating. We thought that the secondary would be really athletic and perhaps a chance to be an elite group if the inexperience didn't overwhelm them in big moments, but they look as talented as any segment on the field. You knew the running backs would be great, and that quarterback would be a work in progress. I think everything's kind of played out the way we thought that it would.
Yeah, no, 100%. And the music's still loud, still fun. Still listen to that. I think that's exactly right. I think it's played out. There haven't been a ton of surprises.
Right.
There haven't been any disappointments. I don't think. I think it's all about where we think it's going to be, where we thought it would be. And quite frankly, I think we all thought going in that Francois probably. Well, I don't know if you did or not. I always thought Francois was probably going to have a little bit of a leg up, and I still do. But I also think we all thought going in that it wasn't that big a separation when it came to the quarterbacks. And the biggest question mark to me, other than the offensive line on the entire team, is linebacker, and we still don't know. And I think that's why would we? Because we don't get to see a ton of practice, and guys like Emmett Rice and Josh Brown have been hurt.
Right, and until we get to where you can get a result from a scrimmage or something like that, it's hard to really know how Brooks is going to do and those guys. I mean, we've had a look, but that's going to tell us a little something there. I do think that we're all going to be excited about the way they play defense under Harlan Barnett, because I don't think there's any doubt they've bought in, and he's going to demand that they swarm to the football. We're at least going to see that.
Yeah, man, they're going to be aggressive. They're not going to be reactive. They're going to be proactive, which would be a change of pace. And again, last year's defense was pretty good. It wasn't an embarrassment by any means, but it wasn't 90s Florida State defense. It wasn't attacking, ball hawking, all that stuff you hear, crushing the quarterback. I think this year's team has a little bit more of that edge. And it all, again, I don't want to quit. I need to probably pump the brakes on it. But I think so much of it starts with number 99. I think that guy can kind of dictate what will be such a key contributor what this defense is. Because, man, he is not fun for them to practice against, and he lets them know it. A lot, kind of like Jalen Ramsey did in 15.
And
he didn't care what he was saying, and still does, apparently to anyone.
Yeah.
Anybody with a camera recording anything.
Including the press, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that guy is going to dictate. I think they're going to take, part of they're going to take that guy's attitude. And that guy doesn't back down from anyone and talk smack the entire practice, which I think, quite frankly, is good. Good for this team.
Enjoy the early morning practices, Corey, down in lovely Bradenton, Florida in the IMG Academy. I will talk to you soon, brother.
I love you.
I love you, too. That's Corey Clark, warchant.com. The storylines aren't changing much, and sometimes I feel like I could bore you, and that's not the job of a talk show host. But I'm not going to make up angles. I'm not going to make up storylines that don't exist. I mean, we thought going into the season that probably the biggest question mark would be offensive line. I don't think anything's going to change about that. We thought that there was a chance the secondary could be elite. I think that's true. I think they could be. I think they could be truly special. They are as talented as you'll see in the country. Some lacking experience in some areas, but the talent's there. I think we thought that the quarterback race would be a legitimate quarterback race, that it would take a little time to discern who exactly was separating, if in fact there was great separation. We knew the running backs were perhaps the deepest and most talented segment on the field. Yep, they are. Every time you go out there and you look at those guys in practice, you think, Florida State's loaded at running back. I just, there's no, what we were trying to learn in all of this was what were the coaches like and how would they implement scheme and what would they do during install and what would the tempo of practice be. And they're trying to ratchet that up more and more, and Willie talked about that today.
Yeah, the one thing that I wasn't able to see either in the spring or my one chance last week to watch open practice, I didn't focus on the defensive side of the field, but I certainly have learned a lot about the offense and how day-to-day operations go. With Walt Bell running things and truly coordinating the offense while Willie will go back and forth between offense and defense. That's one thing that perhaps for opening periods when they come back from IMG, I just want to see how that looks and sounds. Other than the defensive line stuff, you can hear Odell and you see him working with the interior guys or sometimes the ends too, working on the sleds. But how Harlan operates a practice, that's the one blank I'm hoping to fill in the coming weeks, because that, we know how he is on the podium and you hear how imposing he is even when he's being quiet as he answers a question. I do want to see what that looks and sounds like, because they're getting results. In the individual portions when it's receivers versus defensive backs, you're seeing it, and they're loud and they're having a good time.
They are.
But I don't know how he manages day-to-day ops.
I think that defense is going to be something that makes us proud. We want ferociousness from our defensive players. We want you want almost there to be an edge, if you will. You take your chances that some penalties will be called because you're overly aggressive, not the other way around, and you want to pursue the football. You want to celebrate big plays. I'm not talking about taunting. I'm just talking about celebrating with each other, big plays. You want to create turnovers. And that's another thing. We talked about that defense. Corey just alluded to it. Wasn't terrible last year. Well, it wasn't. But they didn't cause turnovers. You almost never saw one.
Well, negative plays, too.
Yeah. I mean, they were just kind of sound.
It's one thing, turnovers come and go, and sometimes it's luck. The pros especially, it's a little bit more luck than anything. In college, you can probably force the issue a little bit more with the talent disparity within a conference, when you're playing worse teams. But negative plays, you got control on that. I mean, your defensive front, your linebackers, they can make plays in the backfield.
You whip the man across from you, and you change the line of scrimmage.
Well, and often enough to the point of nausea for a lot of Knowles fans. We weren't going after the quarterback. Ever. So if you had a negative play, it was because you tackled somebody for a loss of one and they're running between the tackles. There just weren't enough momentum-changing plays, and you can do that without a fumble recovery or an interception.
And while I agree that there is such a thing as turnover luck and that can come and go from year to year, you can do a lot that helps put people in situations in which you have the leverage. I mean, you get people in 3rd and long because you're aggressive. You've put them in a position where you can get after the quarterback, hurry a throw, force a throw, which leads to turnovers. You've got to find ways to do that. And, we didn't do that a lot last year.
The Burns note, last week I was watching 7-on-7s just to see how the quarterbacks were doing, and I looked over for defensive drills. Well, there were one-on-ones with the tackles and defensive linemen, and I saw exactly 2 reps about 3 minutes apart, but they both happened to be Brian Burns reps, and they're everything that Corey was talking about.
Oh, he's just destroying people
with the tight ends, and that's because obviously right tackle we don't have very much going on there. But I will say that even though he's not filled out to a weight that's commensurate to the NFL level of football, he looks bigger. He looks more imposing. There's something about his presence out there, and it may just be the fact that he's unbeatable, and so it's going to look better.
He does look bigger. He's got a long way to go for NFL weight, but he is bigger.
He looks broader.
Yeah,
maybe it's the shoulders or
true.
something. But he just looks broader this year. He's definitely taken care of himself in the offseason.
He was destroying poor Landon Dickerson when they had him out there at tackle.
And Dickerson's good. That's the thing about Landon Dickerson is, he might be one of the options to move to tackle, given how the interior battles shake out. Cole Minshew obviously on the bike today. Hopefully he'll be back at practice soon. But that's what Walt Bell was talking about. The interior battles are going to dictate who's the tackle.
Who's the tackle, yeah.
Dickerson is a good option.
He's a really good guard. I would hate to see him compromise the tackle to a place where you're not getting his level of dominance in any way.
If it's about confidence, then he needs to stop going against 99 as he learns the position.
Yeah, I don't think it's the right thing. Good old Landon Dickerson, man. That guy is a mean man, and I like him at guard. I don't want us to ruin him at tackle. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this. It's right here, guys. We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Step up to the superior sound of Alpine Audio Systems. Connect the full control of your phone with Android Auto or Apple CarPlay from Tallahassee's market leader.
Truck and car concepts. We're your one-stop shop. We always aim to please. Truck and car concepts. Everything is here from A to Z.
Call 656-8800.
Hi, Chris Kraft for Kraft Nissan. Summer's winding down, but it's still hot, and so are the deals at Kraft Nissan. Actually, we might have the best rebates and incentives we've ever had. Nissan has 0% interest for 60 months on every vehicle we sell, the entire lineup. Kraft Nissan has new 2018 Versa sedans with 5-speed transmission for only $11,990, and all 2018 Altimas, Rogues, Maximas, and Muranos are $5,000 off. Not one or some, but every new Altima, Rogue, Maxima, and Murano on the lot is $5,000 off. And we have over 110 to choose from. And as always, all new Kraft Nissans come with our exclusive lifetime warranty. And introducing our new and exclusive Kraft Concierge Service. Need service, warranty work, or a recall? Kraft Nissan will pick up and deliver your car at your home or office. Need a loaner car? We'll bring it to you. It's Kraft Nissan's new no-charge concierge service. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco. Prices include dealer preparation charge. Must finance through NMAC with approved credit.
Don't just listen to The Jeff Cameron Show. Watch it live. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Live weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. Head to ESPNTallahassee.com today to watch live or catch up on demand. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Brought to you by Nice Tire and Auto, your trusted Goodyear dealer.
Nice Tire and Auto, just minutes away from FSU campus.
Are you tired of getting the same two-piece kits? Cornerstone Tool & Fastener and DeWalt have your answer. Buy a 1/4-inch 3-speed impact kit with 2 4-amp-hour batteries and receive a free 1/4-inch 3-speed impact kit. That's correct. You get 2 DeWalt 3-speed impact kits for the price of 1, only at Cornerstone Tool & Fastener. While you're there, check out the power of freedom. FlexVolt 60-volt tools from chainsaws to string trimmers, blowers, and even compressors. Cornerstone has the largest DeWalt selection in Tallahassee. 1110 Stuckey Ave and 3269 Crawfordville Highway. Tallahassee location open on Saturdays from 8 a.m. until noon.
Money, 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 money. You gotta have it. When you need it, what do? If you don't have a rich uncle, call Lending Tree. With us, hundreds of banks compete for your business, so you'll get loans with competitive interest rates, and in some cases, with no closing costs. So here's the deal. If you need money, call us. Do you want to refinance your current loan? Are you 62 or older and interested in a reverse mortgage? Then call Lending Tree now. 800-470-0270. 800-470-0270. We've closed over $250 billion in loans. We know what we're doing and can help you. Call right now for a free quote. 800-470-0270. 800-470-0270. 800-470-0270. That's 800-470-0270. NMLS number 1136.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show. Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Put a ribbon on the Brian Burns talk for a second. Obviously, we'll wait the season and see if he can meet the hype of what's coming out of practice. He by the way, again, saw practice last week. He looked incredible. But, games are a different deal. He actually looked good last year in practice. He looks like a guy, because he's so explosive off the edge. He is so fast. Then you tend to watch those blow-bys and you think, well, that's going to be difficult for people to handle, but it just didn't sustain itself.
Well, the elephant in the room too, right? This is a money year. I mean, if he can swing it and he checks off the boxes that he needs to check off, All-American status, and he's got the film, well, then he can go get paid right away. If not, he can come back, but, I mean, that's got to be on his mind.
I would think, and I'll tell you what, Charlie Campbell, whom we both know and respect, WalterFootball.com, had a write-up on him and what he said about the 2018 season outlook for Brian Burns is this. Burns is going to see some quality offensive tackles during his junior year. In the early portion of the season, he has some easier games before seeing his first test of a pro prospect in Northern Illinois' Max Sharping. It's interesting. It's good for us to know that, because without reading this, I would not have known that Max Sharping was an NFL prospect out of Northern Illinois. And we do see Northern Illinois right off the bat. Well, game 4, actually, is when we see them. Later in October, Burns will take on, and this is well done, Charlie. I'm throwing in a little what for here. He says, later in October, Burns will take on an overhyped and underwhelming prospect in Clemson's Mitch Hyatt. My goodness gracious. He's got no time for Mitch Hyatt.
I don't get why people are harping on Hyatt. He's not a good player, Jeff.
Over the final 2 weeks of the season, Burns could see the best tackles he will face all season in Boston College, Chris Lindstrom, and Florida's Jawan Taylor. Both of them have early round potential for the 2019 NFL Draft. Boston College, as you guys know, I like to reference on a regular basis, has all 5 returning offensive linemen back to go with a secondary on defense that many consider to be one of the best 5 secondaries in the country. That's a hell of a combination when you have a Heisman Trophy caliber running back.
This is probably a good time to qualify the Boston College thing, or at least better define it. Obviously, we both like Boston College for sentimental purposes of Adazio, but then we also respect the fact that their secondary is going to be quite good this year. They've got a star tailback who's only a sophomore, and then this offensive line is returning all the starters, as you mentioned.
They also have a star tight end.
Over under 8 wins, or is that the number, do you think?
Well, I think they get hurt by their schedule. This was the year where I thought, gosh, they may have their best team in a long time, because they've got, when Adazio talks, and I've had the good fortune of talking to him for a while, he's not afraid to admit that they have to do things differently at Boston College and that it's really not sustainable, that you can't win year in and year out there, because you have years like this where you're senior laden and it builds towards something where everything comes together, where you have experience at quarterback, running back, secondary, and then you have seniors along the offensive line. But at the same time, because that only comes around once every 3 to 4 years, you really have to hope, if you're a BC fan, that it coincides in a year in which you avoid some of the juggernauts that you can't in the division that you're in, but you don't like being pitted across the way as they are. So they get UMass right out the box. Are we doing win totals on BC here? Is that what we're doing?
You want to make this the official W's and L's? I mean, it is the middle of August, so I suppose we can get away with it.
No, this won't be official. We'll do official for all ACC teams later in the month.
Woo.
All right, we'll go.
Now that's some content
we'll
right
do
there.
That. Yeah, we'll do that for later in the month. Anyhow, win against UMass, win against Holy Cross, 2-0, win against Wake, 3-0. Although that's not a gimme. There's no gimmies in Boston College. I mean, you gotta. There's not
as good as you think they're going to be. There are no gimmies.
Listen, it's Boston College. There's.
They lost their quarterback. Wake did.
Yeah, but I'm going to give that game. That's a road game. It's a road game. I'll take BC 3-0. At Purdue with Braum coaching, and what Purdue's done is not a gimme at all. I can't wait. That should be shifted from noon to 8 p.m. prime time right there.
1991.
There you go. That's a loss. They're 3-1. They'll beat Temple. They'll be 4-1. Then they go on the road to NC State.
There it is.
Well, that's the chance to have a special season or not, right?
Yeah, that's kind of like the Florida-Tennessee game. You know, it's like who's going to be that second, third tierish team in the division.
Probably a loss for Boston College. Probably. 4-2. Louisville comes to BC. I'll take BC. Miami goes to Boston College on a Friday night.
After BC's bye week.
Watch out, Miami. I'm going to call the upset there. I think they beat Miami. I do. I know Miami fans don't want to hear that, but Malik Rozier against that secondary?
That's October the 26th, Friday night.
Circle it, baby.
Oh, that's the day before Clemson. There'll be a lot of Noles watching that game up here.
Good stuff going on here.
All right.
But the problem is we're talking about them having to play Miami on the other side there of the Coastal. You know who else they play? Virginia Tech, and pretty late in the year where Virginia Tech will have had a chance to clear it up. And because they're in the same division as Clemson and Florida State, they play Clemson and Florida State. So, I mean, this is problematic when you've got a road game out of conference against Purdue. You've got a cross-division rival with Miami on a Friday night. At least you're hosting that game. But you are also facing the other good team in the Coastal, which is Virginia Tech. They got screwed with schedule for a year in which they have so many of their parts back. I
would assume that means that Vatech is their permanent cross-division rival. They came into the conference together, and with Miami, it's us. So that process of elimination, it's probably that they're fixed against Virginia Tech. But you don't have to if you're the ACC. Schedule it in sequence with Miami, Virginia Tech, Clemson, Florida State. My goodness.
It's not cool, is it?
No, that's some Tennessee style
I mean,
stuff
they just decided to tell him to limber up. I mean, that is wrong right there. But anyhow, he acknowledged that in my interview when I said, well, Coach, you know, you got a good team this year. There are expectations. You're at a place now where you've got it moving in the right direction. And then I brought up schedule, and he goes, well, that's certainly going to be a challenge. And he kind of – but he said, but at least we are in a position to do something about it. You know, we host a couple of those games, and we – you know, and I was like, Coach, you host Clemson. I mean, that's not great. I mean, you host Miami, sure. That's better than going on the road, but you are on the road against Florida State and Virginia Tech. Yeah, that's 4 losses minimum. I think they lose 5 games.
Okay.
I think it's a good, solid 7-5 campaign for Adazio.
If the schedule shook out better, though, they could be looking at a 9-3.
Well, the problem is, though, don't fool around and lose that game to Purdue or to Wake. We're going to be sweating out bowl eligibility.
Wake, but if they beat Wake and Purdue, then they're set up to
well, then they're the talk of college football, buddy.
There they come.
I mean, there they roll. All of a sudden, you beat Temple, you're 5-0. What's going on in BC? Yeah.
Then it's NC State. You take care of that challenge, and now it's on. You're not sneaking up on anybody at that point.
Well, no, then you'd be undefeated hosting Louisville. That'd be something.
Even if they have one loss at the point they play Miami on a Friday night. I mean, that's, you know, whatever Miami is against a top 20 team in Boston College.
Good story. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this. It's right here, guys. We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
Roofing is rewarding, but it's not exactly a bed of roses. It's a very dirty job, subject to the environment, working on 98-degree summer days, dodging rainstorms, working on steep slopes like a mountain goat. At Parker Brothers, our skilled workers have chosen this challenging trade as their career choice. These are the people that you want working on your roof. We've been servicing the community since 1995. Call us at 656-8112.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
CGC 042221, CCC 049350.
And we're back with another edition of Spring Cleaning. Today, we want to know how you save energy, water, and money during a warmer season. Caller, you're on the air. What do you do to save energy?
With the warmer temperature, I know my AC is working overtime, so I make sure to replace my AC filter once a month.
Excellent suggestion. Next caller, you're on the air.
Well, the city of Tallahassee recommends that I take advantage of their grants and loans to get more insulation in my attic. That's really going to keep my cooling costs down.
These are some great suggestions. There are lots of ways to save. Caller, you're on the air.
I reduce energy for water heating by lowering my water heater temperature and installing low-flow shower heads.
We have time for one more caller. What do you have for us?
I make sure to use my programmable thermostat to regulate the temperature in my home when I'm away.
Thank you, caller. That's all the time we have today.
The City of Tallahassee Utilities would like to help you save as much energy as you can and save money while you're at it. Visit talgov.com for more information and start saving energy today.
Have you ever noticed when you report an accident or a claim to an insurance company, they are very eager to get you to one of their approved body shops. They say that they guarantee the shop's work, but what they're really saying is the shop works for them, not the customer. So choose a shop that is working for and looking out for you, someone you trust. It's your choice. Lisa's Paint and Body.
License number MP46050.
This Day in Sports, brought to you by Superlube, 19 Tallahassee area locations. Quick, convenient, no appointment necessary. Get your history lesson weekdays at 5:30 during the Jeff Cameron Show, right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Change your life with a career in a year at Lively Tech. 38 career in a year programs available. Medical assistant, pharmacy tech, welding, diesel mechanic, automotive, massage, HVAC, electricity, cosmetology, barbering, digital design, and building trades. Full-time, part-time, and nighttime schedules are available for most programs. Enrollment opportunities provided for local high school students. Financial aid is available for those who qualify. Visit livelytech.com for more information. Change your life and enroll now. Lively Tech. Your career starts here.
Now you can get a great-looking cut in less time every time with an Exmark. The Mowers Landscape Pros trust 2-to-1 over the next best-selling brand of mowers. When you buy your Exmark mower from Southern Harvest Equipment, you are guaranteed a great price. Nobody sells Exmark mowers for less, and currently select commercial mowers are 15% off commercial sales price while supplies last. You can also receive 0% financing. Find the Exmark that's right for you at Southern Harvest Equipment, located at 408 Wiggum Dairy Road in Bainbridge, Georgia. Exmark, ready to work for you.
Broadcasting live from the AmeriGas Propane Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Man, I'm really I'm excited. I'm excited for the season, but it's messing me up because I'm having a hard time after we talked about July flying past and August getting started, and this is the month in which football begins. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I think the thing to do, honestly, and that's what I'm doing with the day job, and a lot of businesses are like this in Tallahassee, not just sports, but, you know, in terms of marketing and advertising. If you focus on all the tasks that you need to do before football season starts, it's an amazing effect because then you feel like it's not moving at all to, oh, my God, there's not enough time in the day.
Right. No, it's true. I'm I'm of the mindset that we're just not going to get enough scintillating stories out of Florida State's camp to kind of carry the week each week. And I don't listen. There's so much football going on. There's so many other things going on. There's controversies going around in college football. There are a lot of things that will carry the day. It's just that I'm really hyper focused on what's coming out of Tallahassee right now and ready to go.
So last night on ESPN2, they had back-to-back hour-long specials. One was with I don't know the anchor's name, but it had Pollock and Galloway and Todd McShay, and they were talking about the path to the playoff for all the Power 5 conferences. And that was an interesting show just to hear the national talking heads and what they know and what they don't know about each program. But then College Game Day had an hour-long special after it, and I said, all right, awesome, College Game Day. Let's hear what the big boys think. And it wasn't a special on the desk like they do sometimes from Bristol with Herbie and Reese and Desmond and Corso. But it was rather an hour-long of all of the Rinaldi, Gene Wojciechowski segments from College Game Day that'll just make you weep in your chair.
Yeah, grab you. Bring you to your knees, yeah.
I don't always get to see Game Day, because we'll be working.
Some of them are amazing. They do a good job.
Oh, all of them. I mean, there were probably 6 or 7 vignettes.
Did they do the Iowa story with the
They did the Iowa
That's
story.
my favorite story of last year.
They did the 90-year-old official at Alabama's practice who's been doing games.
How cool is that? Was Saban getting on him?
Yeah, 53 years.
The cake.
They gave him the cake, and they gave him the jersey. Then they had the special needs young man who works for Dabo at Clemson, who's the equipment manager.
Story. Yes, I love it.
They had the Maryland kid who went home to Liberia to see his mother for the first time in 14 years.
I saw all these.
Oh, my God. It was exhausting.
Yeah, it's tough, but I'm glad you caught up on them because they're good.
They are so good.
All right, real quick, here's an email. Let's get to it. This comes from Mike. JCS at 970 ESPNradio.com. I enjoy listening to the penetrating insights of Jeff, Ira, Corey every Tuesday from 6 to 7 on my drive home. Keep up the good work. My question, and this would have been a question for headlines, I think, but I'm going to use it here. Describe the mood in Tallahassee if Virginia Tech comes into Doak Campbell and drills the Seminoles by 35 points. Whew. I've thought of that, actually, Mike. Tom and I were talking about it.
Penetrating insights ourselves.
That's what we were doing. We were talking about what happens if you lose the game, and then I actually said, well, what if they get blown out? I don't think that's going to happen. But I do think, you don't want to get off on the wrong foot here. Losses happen for a reason. It's a phrase I've used my whole career, and I bring up the fact that they affect you a certain way. So I will certainly say that if somehow Virginia Tech comes in here and wins 49-10, you've got the worst case scenario playing out because not only at that point did you stop nothing, you didn't score, and this is supposed to be an explosive offense. So, that would be a terrible scenario for the nation to have watched and taken in. It will affect the way that we think the season plays out in terms of mentally preparing ourselves week to week. We would probably be sitting back at that point thinking, well, if you can get beat 49-10 by a team that had 11 people go missing in the offseason for Virginia Tech or get dismissed or get injured or for whatever reason is no longer with the program, I say go missing, obviously not literally, but no longer going to play for the program, and they come in and stomp you, then, all of a sudden Syracuse on the road in 2 weeks is a problem. All of a sudden at Louisville kind of enters into the, into the mindset of a possible loss. All of a sudden, look, fair or not, it would just be this sense of could be a long year.
Yeah, I agree. That would be a stunner if we were to lose via blowout in week 1. But
you can lose the game. It can happen. Yeah. Again, for a reason. Losses, when they occur, you analyze them. I mean, if you lose 28-27, it's a well-played game. There are moments where you can hang your hat on a few things. It's apparent the offensive line is your problem. Then, there'll be specific talk about what you can do in the interim to survive this season and get bowl eligible. But
I think the only thing you can do at that point is win out before Miami to regain people's, I don't even know trust if it would be back, but the enthusiasm, like the blind enthusiasm, because at that point it's like, okay, well, we've righted the ship. Let's go get this done against Miami and see if we can really stack up and make this a fun year. I think, honestly, a blowout either way would take the wind out of the sails a little bit because, and I'm not saying I don't want to blow out to the good. All I'm saying is if they beat Virginia Tech by a lot, I think we might be a little overhyped. And I think we might be robbing ourselves of the discovery process of the season. I think most people entering the year are okay with this being about a team finding itself and a program forging a new identity. If you are to take care of business in a big way that first night, then it becomes, I think for a lot of people, is this a championship type season? Is this a playoff type season? And that can be kind of damaging in its own right too. I think this year's going to have some up and downs, but it should be a fun season.
All of these previous college football seasons, even the handful in the last 5 to 6 years, should tell you that you can't have that kind of overreaction. See Texas Notre Dame once again. There have been so many of these moments that teach us valuable lessons. It could just be that Virginia Tech's terrible. I mean, it could, if you win 38-17,
right?
It could just be Virginia Tech's in store for a long season.
But the problem is people want to believe so badly because all of the right buttons are being pushed in the off season,
and I'm one of them.
Right.
But I'm not going to lose my senses here over this. I'm going to sit back and say, listen, stranger things have happened. You beat a team whose name is significant, but they could be really bad this year.
What's interesting, and you're talking about Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
What's interesting is I think if they were undefeated to the point of the Miami game, so we beat Virginia Tech, we take care of business all the way up through Louisville on the road. Remember when Miami came here as a top 10 team?
And we knew they were a fraud?
Yeah. I don't think that would be the case if you can get to that point in the season and be undefeated, because there are a lot of good players here. I mean, we knew Miami had a lot of depth players back in 2013, but not a lot of good players. So when they were coming to face the big dog, I mean, we played pretty badly in that game when we won 41-14.
Going away, yeah.
Right. If we were able to get to that point this year, you let belief wash over a group that's that talented.
Well, and that's the thing you're hoping for. If you're looking for a magical season that so far exceeds the expectations of almost everybody, then what has to happen is they begin to win football games, and over time, not only are they learning the offense and the defense, but they're learning how to play with one another and believe in one another. And all of a sudden, you've got a group of really good athletes who believe that they deserve to step on that field and win games every week, no matter against whom it is they're playing. Well, yes, then that's called momentum. And all of a sudden, you're undefeated before you face Clemson. Oh, there will be legitimate talk of a national championship run if Florida State's undefeated before they place Clemson. Now, that's nuts, but there will be. And I'm sure at some point it'll wash over me in that way too. I mean, if you go on the road and beat Miami after having been on the road against Syracuse and Louisville and in between Northern Illinois, but earlier in the year beat Virginia Tech, yeah, people are going to go, hey.
But what's funny is I think if we were undefeated to that point, of course I would be insanely pumped, and there would be adrenaline all week long here in the city of Tallahassee, everywhere too, that cares about the Noles. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what that means. Miami has flaws, not the least of which is at the quarterback position.
No.
They got lucky last year, and it took some Herculean efforts by our defense in order to assure that we lost that game. They got lucky in a couple others. Then they got dismissed in the latter part of the season where quarterback play was exposed and their one-dimensional nature was exposed. I don't know. How much will we really have learned before facing a team like friggin' Clemson? And, Clemson sometimes can lay an egg. So it could be interesting. I'm not saying we would be total frauds. All I'm saying is I don't know that we would truly be a national title contender. That's the fun part of the beginning of the schedule.
No.
Make no mistake, though, by the time you're done with the 12 games, you'll know who we are.
Well, and also, I mean, I think a realistic over the top, if we're going to try, it's a weird thing, right? If it's over the top, it's not realistic, Jeff. If you want a pie-in-the-sky prediction, it's to try to play for and win the ACC title.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you think about a national championship. Now, if that falls in line that you get to the college football playoff because you won this particular Power 5 conference, then so be it. But in truth, if you really want a pie-in-the-sky sort of, but a outside possibility of actually happening, because you're hosting Clemson, okay, well, then that's the one. You win the division and play for the ACC title.
Yeah, what's crazy is if you were to go undefeated up to Clemson, beat Clemson, all you got to do is split between NC State and Boston College, and you will be the Atlantic champion.
You're playing for the conference title, and by definition, you're either going to be playing Miami again, maybe Virginia Tech if they rebound after losing to us in this first game of the season.
There aren't very many options over there. It's one of the two,
most of the
probably.
teams pretty much suck, so yeah. Final hour, forthcoming. Stay with.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this. It's right here, guys. We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Saturdays from 8 a.m. until noon.
It's been called shell shock, war neurosis, and battle fatigue. Today, we call it post-traumatic stress disorder, and it affects 1 out of every 5 warriors returning from battle in Iraq and Afghanistan. The Wounded Warrior Project offers comfort and support for warriors with PTSD and all other scars of war, whether those scars are visible or hidden. Find out how to help, because for warriors, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. Please visit woundedwarriorproject.org.
With back-to-school season here, it's time to make sure your car is back-to-school ready. At Superlube, we pride ourselves on keeping your car maintained properly. And Superlube offers quick and convenient service, so you'll be back on your way in no time. So go to superlube.com for your back-to-school oil change coupons. Superlube, get your oil changed and a whole lot more. With 19 area locations, there's bound to be one near you.
How I love to Superlube my car, lube my car. How I love to Superlube my car, yes sir.
Don't just listen to The Jeff Cameron Show. Watch it live. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Live weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. Head to ESPNTallahassee.com today to watch live or catch up on demand. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Brought to you by Nice Tire and Auto, your trusted Goodyear dealer.
Nice Tire and Auto, just minutes away from FSU campus.
Driving every day from the AmeriGas studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. This is what you need to know. After taking his physical, free agent forward Carmelo Anthony signed his one-year, $2.4 million contract with the Rockets today. Anthony also received $25.4 million of his original salary for the 2018-2019 season, minus a $2.4 million buyout with Atlanta. Anthony is expected to come off the bench for Houston this season. NFL, Dolphins quarterback Ryan Tannehill made an example of rookie Kalen Ballage at practice yesterday, kicked him out of the huddle after he missed a blocking assignment that resulted in a clean sack. Not a great show of leadership by Tannehill, who missed all of last season with a torn ACL, in the opinion of ESPN's Ryan Clark.
First of all, who are you? Bro, like, what have you done? Tell me what you've done to treat people this way. Because we're all pros now. Ryan Tannehill didn't play a snap last year. And so when you embarrass him, when you degrade him, when you kick him out of the huddle and then go to the sideline and continue going at his head, this doesn't make me want to play for you.
Baseball, Cardinals look to run their winning streak to 6 straight when they host the Nationals tonight. St. Louis 5.5 back of the NL Central leading Cubs and is 2.5 out of the second NL wildcard spot. Golf, U.S. Ryder Cup captain Jim Furyk remained poised today when it comes to Tiger Woods' chances of making the Ryder Cup team. Furyk said he wanted to let the process play out until his first 3 picks are announced September 4th. He added what's important is how well Tiger has played, 6th at the British Open and 2nd at the PGA Championship. College football, Florida receiver Van Jefferson, who transferred from Ole Miss in January, is eligible for the 2018 season after receiving a waiver from the SEC. He needed that waiver in order to avoid sitting out a season per NCAA rules.
Broadcasting live from the AmeriGas Propane Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Final hour of the Jeff Cameron Show, at least for today. Thanks for tuning into it. Good Monday, everybody. Hope you had a glorious weekend. Appreciate you joining us. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free always. You can always email us if you like, JCS at 979ESPNradio.com. On Twitter, it's at J Cameron Show. You can also utilize the WTSM app. That's free for your mobile devices. Get that WTSM app. If you miss anything, all 3 hours going to be posted to iTunes and in our own audio vault. As we round out the show, we will start throwing those up there. And if you want to watch us on YouTube, you can. Go to YouTube, type in ESPN Tallahassee, and you'll find us. What a weekend it was. Florida State golf alum Brooks Koepka winning yet another major. I think we have to begin there because this is... It's the kind of thing that puts you, in terms of Florida State's Hall of Fame, Florida State's Athletic Hall of Fame, it puts you in the conversation with the greatest athletes that ever came through here. This guy has now won 3 majors. He's won 2 in the same year. He's also a guy that is, one of the few people in the history of the game that's ever won back-to-back U.S. Opens. So he has been a remarkable force on this tour now for a few years. He's unique in that he's only won 4 times on tour, but 3 of those are majors. And the thing is, he seems built to win majors. He's going to win a British, I tell you, at some point. He's always going to contend, I think, in the U.S. Open, because when you hit it 335 and straight as frequently as he does, you can be in almost any tournament, but you give yourself a chance to win in places where the fairways are very narrow, and he is straight.
Well, if you can hit it 310 to 330 in the air, too, because that's what this weekend was all about. The course was so wet that you needed carry. If you were going to get over a bunker or get, to an angle on a dog leg, it had to be all in the air. It's like the stat in football, air yards per attempt versus yards per attempt, gives you an idea of who's actually calling plays down the field. Well, he calls drives down the fairway, and it started out how it ended up finishing for him. And a lot of symmetry yesterday. But number one, he bombs it right down the middle to inside 100 yards for his approach, makes a quick birdie. And then when he closes out the tournament, same deal. He hits a bomb right down the pipe.
I will say this. Brooks, in locally, if you're a Knoll, you're excited to have a guy come through your school, represented so well, and win another major championship. He's not the story. I mean, he is here today, but he's not the story. The story is Tiger Woods. That's the story in golf, and rightfully so. I will also say this. Brooks is never going to be the story, and he can win 4 more majors, and I don't think he will be because he doesn't care to be. He's not going to give to the fans, to the galleries, what they want. There's a reason Tiger draws us in, and he is great theater. And it's because there is emotion there. Obviously, he came on the scene and announced his presence with authority, and he was different. He was different in the fact that he was a minority, first of all, and there was immense pressure that followed him into the game. Nike commercials, etc. Hello, world. And it happened. And he became a transcendent athlete. But he let us see what he was thinking and feeling. He let us in at all times. It's the fist pump. It's this. Go back to the hole-in-one in Arizona. the gallery's going crazy, throwing things in the air, and Tiger's raising the roof, which was popular back then, at the time, walking down the fairway with him. He does that, right? The good and the bad of that. He'll drop the F-bomb on you, and the guy at home can relate to that. He'll say, that's me when I yank my drive left in a big situation. I get it. And then people would admonish Tiger and say, oh, that's bad etiquette. Man, the average dude at home goes, no, that's me. That's us. We're that guy. I care that much. And then he wanted to win so desperately and did win in ways that we had never seen, only since Jack, right? And in some ways, he surpassed him. So he became a larger-than-life figure, and then he fell from grace. He fell from prominence. It was self-inflicted, but we like to watch that story play out, age-old drama. Brooks, I don't believe, is ever going to give us that, nor will many other great golfers. I mean, I'm not saying he has to. He's not required to. You want to see this career play out in a way in which he is adored in the same way that a Jordan Spieth is, or the same way that a Jason Day is to some extent, or certainly the same way that some of the other Justin Thomas and other golfers are. And I just don't know that he's going to do that, because Ricky Fowler is more well thought of in terms of the golf galleries and the people who talk about golf. They mention him all the time. He's won exactly 0 majors. Brooks Koepka's won 3, including back-to-back U.S. Opens and 2 majors this year. He's not going to be talked about 2 weeks from now as much as some of these other guys that have never won a major.
But the good thing is everybody will always remember this major, and although Koepka may be the trivia question, unless he goes on to win a lot more majors, this is an immortal major in golf history, and he ends up coming out on top. I was deeply conflicted. We were talking a lot yesterday, a little bit on Sunday or Saturday as well. But I was deeply conflicted watching this because I wasn't a Tiger fan, when he was asserting himself. Some of it got boring. He was just so damn good. But I am a fan of the redemption story, and he's worked so hard. He's straightened his life out, and he's come all the way back against all the odds. I mean, he looked like a fool around the greens for the better part of a year and a half.
Yeah.
So you see the vulnerability.
No, it's a cool story.
And as he builds his back, he builds his confidence back. How can you not be on board for that? But I have to tell you, I was rooting for Brooks. As deeply conflicted as I was still rooting for Brooks because I wanted him to stare down the best when people cowered, to Tiger year after year after year. And I wanted him to finish the job, and he did. Brooks was fearless down the stretch yesterday.
No, there's no getting around this. And as we said in the first hour, listen, it's an amazing accomplishment, and he's unwavering. He's unflappable. He is seemingly always going to step up in those occasions where it is required. That 7-footer you got to make to cement it. The up and down, you've got to find a way to accomplish if you're going to continue your stranglehold on the back nine at a major. He seems to do that all the time, and that shows that he is steely beyond what you see a lot of these young, talented players show. And he is all of those things. But he is, I wouldn't say he's apathetic, but he doesn't love golf the way that even the fans of the game love golf, and he has said as much. And he says he doesn't watch golf. Doesn't really want to talk about golf when he's not golfing. He doesn't eat, sleep, breathe golf, which is actually a testament to how balanced he is. And
yeah,
I actually admire it, but it doesn't sell is what I'm saying. That's not his fault, and that's on us, and who cares, right? He doesn't.
Well, but he wants to beat your ass, and I love that about him.
Oh, I do love that, yes.
I was listening today, or watching, I guess is the better way of putting it, Morning Drive on Golf Channel, and they had one of the foremost, sports psychologists on. His name escapes me, but he said he did some work with Brooks back in college, so I'm sure Trey knows, who this gentleman is.
Was it Dr. McCabe?
I don't think it was Dr. McCabe.
Okay.
But he was talking about how if you listen to his dialect, the way he answers questions, the pace, the pentameter, and the tone, it's just like Tiger. He learned how to deal with the media like Tiger. He speaks to you in a matter-of-fact way with very clear, concise statements, and they are action statements. He's not going to go tell you about how flowery the round was. He'll say, I just wanted to win. It's very simple. His goal is very simple. It's workmanlike, but it's also dominant. And that's why I love watching this guy, and I love that we got a window into his career before it went to this place. So Florida State fans, and especially thanks to the connections that you have with Trey and the PGA Network, I feel like I've got an inside scoop on this thing before it happened. to me, that makes him and his career so much more easy to root for than even the Tiger story, because he is the counterculture golfer.
Yeah, I think, you know what I like about him? I'll say this, too. I believe him when he says that he was happy to see Adam Scott playing well and that he thought it was great that Tiger was making a charge. I think that's true. I think that reveals a confidence, by the way, that is otherworldly. To be able to kind of step outside the moment for a second and appreciate that the guy you're playing alongside with, who's competing his ass off against you and making shot after shot after shot, and who has won a major, so you know he's a viable threat, is doing all of that, and you go and you take the time to think in your mind. That's awesome, man. Good for him. He's had a rough couple of years. Good for Adam. This is good stuff. And to be able to see the scores change on the leaderboard and to look up there and see Tiger Woods charging and to hear the gallery and think, all right, good for him, man. All right. That's heady stuff.
But do you know what I love most about this guy, and it speaks to, a couple of my biases, but it's just perfectly encapsulating why it's so easy to root for Brooks. Remember back to the Open Championship not a month ago, and the story about Jordan Spieth having to be calmed down by his caddy because Tiger is rallying.
Right.
He said, uh-oh, to the point where his caddy said, dude, you've done this so many more times recently than he has. You know what it's like. And Jordan completely fizzled. Jordan Spieth is a more accomplished golfer than Brooks Koepka. Not by much anymore, but certainly when you're talking about wins, he's got a hell of a lot more of them than Brooks does. Major wins, now they're even footing 3 apiece. Brooks was not fazed, not for a second. Where Spieth wilted, Brooks rose to the challenge to the point where on 16 from 248, he sticks a 4-iron to 5 feet, and the broadcast acted like it was a chip shot for a par putt.
Well, I think Faldo and others noted that is, who can do that? That's insane. I mean, it's a 4-iron from that distance. I mean, they
would break the microphones. They'd be shouting so loud if Tiger hit that shot. It's just perfectly. I mean, Tiger hits the one on 15 with a 9-iron. You should be pretty accurate with a 9. He almost holes it. I'm not taking anything away from that shot.
He was exceptional.
And I was thrilled to watch the whole round, so I'm not trying to poo-poo on Tiger, but there they are beside themselves for this moment, and Brooks hits an imminently harder shot. It's akin to the one that Dustin hit when he closed out his U.S. Open on 18 when he hit 5-iron for the middle of the fairway, and he doesn't get the fanfare that Tiger does.
And he's not going to, and that's not going to change. And luckily, he doesn't care about that, and I don't think he ever will. And I will say I also get why that will always be – there will always be a bias towards Tiger's moments of pulling off dramatic shots, even if the informed golfer understands that's a lot easier shot. It's because he's won 14 majors, is the second greatest, some would argue, greatest golfer in the history of the game, and he's come back from a cataclysmic fall from grace. Yes, obviously he did it to himself, but there is the injury aspect of it, and the thought that we were never going to get to see it again was devastating to golf fans everywhere, because I know this. Even people that tired of Tiger Woods knew how good he was for the game and understood what he meant to the game and wanted to see him come back in some kind of way.
Well, and we all took turns at some point in the layoff between 13 and now his rise, saying, stop the fight, Tiger. Don't do this to yourself.
Yeah,
this is so embarrassing what's happening to you.
No moss. You're out here chipping it, chunking it 3 feet. I mean, what are we doing here?
Right,
Yeah,
and he looks so alone in those moments, and it's hard not to. I mean, I couldn't stand Sergio earlier in his career. I guess I'm a sucker for the back end of a life cycle of a career.
You're also a sucker for seeing redemptive stories. If somebody's not committing crimes, like hardened crimes or crimes, I mean, if they are, they're crimes that harm themselves solely, those kind. Listen, we root for people. That's what you do. Listen, I don't know a sports fan who doesn't. We root for the good story, for the comeback all the time. I mean, there are guys that we've both loathed at the height of their career and then admitted to each other over a beer one day several years later, if so-and-so were to come back and have a good year, I'd be happy for them, because you know what? You're decent people. You don't want to see somebody miserable the rest of their life. You don't want to see somebody who falls from grace just be mired in devastation for the remainder of their days.
You're right. People do have that tendency. If you try to flash back to, 03, 05, any time like last decade, and you told somebody that Sergio Garcia would be rooted for across the board. And I really mean that because I was at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
And they were cheering him.
A place that doesn't fancy a Euro golfer, I'll tell you that much. And they were all beside themselves watching Sergio win his first major. They were rooting for the man. They were rooting for this guy who had been, in some ways, tormented.
I'll be honest with you. I thought this is a perfect ending yesterday. First of all, golf was winning, and I love the sport, and in an outside way, I work in it. Number two, really any one of those three would have been an amazing story. So we have the obvious ties to Koepka. So, if he wins, great. If Tiger wins, self-evident. Obviously, it's incredible for the game. It would have been emotional.
Everybody 0 for 7 in the fairways front 9, and you come out 3 under par, and then you go on to win.
Well, it was a touch of class and magic and everything else in there, And he is a changed man, and I can tell you that from having spoken to his agent. I mean, it's a different guy, right? And so you like to see people learn from their mistakes, and he has. Look at the way he embraces the gallery now and the things that he's done. I told you about Harry Ellis at Augusta saying everything he got to sign had already been signed by Tiger.
That crowd shot when he's walking up the steps
and waving
and
to
you
them.
see the sea of people by the 18th green.
Yeah. Well, I thought you correctly pointed out. I'll let you know, folks at home, we were texting back and forth, Tom and I were, during this. He was fighting back tears after the one birdie. I mean, the
13.
The celebration of the fans. I think he was overwhelmed.
When he made that putt on 13, he doesn't celebrate outwardly. He kind of puts his arm up in the air and the putter in the air, and then when he grabs the ball out of the cup, then he says something fiercely. It's almost like there's drool or sweat dropping down onto the ground, and then he's walking and he's staring at the ground at the edge of the green. Everything he has in him not to smile. Yeah. All he wants to do is smile and weep with joy.
Yeah,
because
he's
knew
in it
that
again.
moment.
He's in it.
He knew, but he also made putts to be in it. People fell to pieces on Sunday out at Carnoustie. In this one, he was going to go get it.
And he did. He shot a 64.
Yeah.
His lowest round ever in a major on a Sunday. I mean, he did everything there was to do. So it was great to see, and it was also great to see a guy make a 19-foot putt on 18 that doesn't win him the tournament, celebrating that way, knowing that I did this thing that I haven't been able to do.
Oh, guys, the question I couldn't answer, I've already answered for myself now.
Right. And then finally, if Adam Scott had won, obviously, with Jared Lyles passing, and they were extremely close, his country-mate, and he, earlier in the week, was asked about it and couldn't get through a sentence. I was almost afraid to watch if he had won, because I would have been a blithering idiot. I mean, just because you know how emotional he would have been. But it was also, in some ways, a comeback story for him, too. So all of that was there.
Well, and the coolest thing is, like, when you do the video game stuff as a kid, you create your own player. That shot, it was almost like a wrestling camera shot when Brooks is walking to the scorer's area and then Tiger's waiting on him to give him a hug.
Five? Yeah.
Almost like, Tiger doesn't do that in the past.
No.
But he waited, and he wanted to give him the proper respect.
Oh, I think he respects the hell out of Brooks.
Yes, he does. When he was asked questions on the dais yesterday about Brooks, his eyes would flicker when when he's hitting it like that.
So let me just say it this way, without ruffling feathers and getting too into that. He loves Brooks because Brooks has the same MFer in him that Tiger has always been, and he sees it. He's like, "Oh, you and me, you're the same guy."
Yep.
Maybe without all the other stuff. But
right. Well, yeah. And, about 60 less wins on tour, 70. But, yeah.
75 less wins.
That's not why Yang plays the round of his life. That was supposed to happen, what Brooks did.
Oh, no, Brooks took it, went into the final round with the lead, and went and won it.
Yep. That's what he did in the U.S. Open the year before, and that's what he did in the U.S. Open in 2017.
He's not going to waver. Listen, those back-to-back bogeys, you're thinking, oh, well, okay.
Well, and he hit some crappy shots
and then
leading up to that.
Yeah, but then when I'm going to birdie 7, 8, and 9 and get you some right now,
right?
Because that's who he is.
Well, and he missed birdies on 13 and 14, very makeable ones. That's what the stat that was so telling that Faldo was, he kept on reiterating, inside of 18 feet, he doubled up the next closest person in terms of birdie chances.
Yeah.
Inside of 18 feet. He was around the flagstick all weekend long.
It was glorious to watch, and golf won the day. Camp, it continued today down at IMG. If you missed Corey and I talking last hour, I'll get you caught up here in a moment. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this. It's right here, guys. We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
CCC 042221, CCC 049350.
So, Jeff.
Yeah.
I run into these ladies named Kathy and Grace. They love you, by the way.
Oh, they're smart people already.
Oh, my gosh. And darling ladies. They were at Bumpus, and they were telling me how they went to Gordo's and that it wasn't open yet. And I said, no, we are open, ma'am.
I could have assured them that it is most definitely open.
This week, we'll be in process of moving. Now, I know it's sad. I've been there for...
I'm a little emotional. I love the old Gordo's. You're telling me the new Gordo's is going to be better, though?
Well, the Gordo's and Market Square, the old Gordo's on Pensacola Street...
It's not going anywhere.
Still open. Still open, going to be there.
For life.
I hope so, God willing. And if you're on this side of town, you can always come eat at Bumpus.
New one is open when? A week, 2 weeks, something like that?
I'm shooting for a week, Jeff.
All right, I like it.
Shooting for a week and
same
maybe
great
two.
Food, same mahi, new drink specials,
new
more
drink
beer?
specials, more beers. We'll have a patio.
All right.
We're going to have, with fans and everything. It's going to be highfalutin, Jeff.
Highfalutin, the new Gordo's in a week or two. And in the meantime, go to Bumpus.
In the meantime, please come check out Bumpus.
All right. Yay, new Gordo's. We'll see you soon.
Right on.
Tallahassee loves the corner pocket as much as a crystal ball winning catch.
He's looking, he lost it to the end zone. It's Benjamin! Touchdown! With 13 seconds left.
The 97.9 ESPN radio special is a must-have every Monday and Wednesday at the corner pocket. 10 mouth-watering wings, a fresh side of fries, and a chilled domestic pint of beer are just $9.79 all day long. Be sure and try the fish blend of sauces, a true wing eater's favorite. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
He's gone!
Home of Trivia Tuesday, Beer Bingo Thursday, and the daily $7.99 lunch special.
It's been called shell shock, war neurosis, and battle fatigue. Today, we call it post-traumatic stress disorder, and it affects 1 out of every 5 warriors returning from battle in Iraq and Afghanistan. The Wounded Warrior Project offers comfort and support for warriors with PTSD and all other scars of war, whether those scars are visible or hidden. Find out how to help, because for warriors, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. Please visit woundedwarriorproject.org.
Hi, Chris Kraft for Kraft Nissan. Summer's winding down, but it's still hot, and so are the deals at Kraft Nissan. Actually, we might have the best rebates and incentives we've ever had. Nissan has 0% interest for 60 months on every vehicle we sell, the entire lineup. Kraft Nissan has new 2018 Versa sedans with 5-speed transmission for only $11,990. And all 2018 Altimas, Rogues, Maximas, and Muranos are $5,000 off. Not one or some, but every new Altima, Rogue, Maxima, and Murano on the lot is $5,000 off. And we have over 110 to choose from. And as always, all new Kraft Nissans come with our exclusive lifetime warranty. And introducing our new and exclusive Kraft Concierge Service. Need service, warranty work, or a recall? Kraft Nissan will pick up and deliver your car at your home or office. Need a loaner car? We'll bring it to you. It's Kraft Nissan's new no-charge concierge service. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco. Prices include dealer preparation charge. Must finance through NMAC with approved credit.
Get
Get your weekend started right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Saturdays at 6 a.m. with Fishing Florida Radio. Listen to the three amigos, Boudreaux, Steve Chapman, and Captain Mike Ortega as they catch you up to speed on what's new and biting in the North Florida region. Big-time guests, celebrities, interviews, and 3 hours of the fishing info you need. Fishing Florida Radio is brought to you by Sea Quarters Marina off Highway 98 in Carabel. Sea Quarters Marina, your full-service marina. And presented by Hobbit American Grill and Mike's Marine Supply.
You're listening to The Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
I always let that play longer because Tom gets a little weirded out by it.
It's ominous, man.
It's so good. What's funny about that is I can remember the first time I ever heard Cypress Hill, and I thought the same thing. I went, oh, this is what I'm talking about. My man Be Real is out here living this. That guy seen some things.
Right. That's what's going on. That's what
you can hear it.
That's what's going on in Brooks Koepka's mind as he's walking down the fairway on 17.
Let's get caught up with what's going on down at IMG in camp. Here it is, a little vision check action.
Open your eyes.
My glasses! I can't see without my glasses!
My glasses! I can't be seen without my glasses!
That is absolutely horrendous!
I don't believe this call is accurate.
Everything is proceeding as I have foreseen.
Man, I can see!
It's time for the vision check.
As brought to you by the law office of Jose Fernandez. They don't get paid until you do. The law office of Jose Fernandez. Offices Miami, Tallahassee. Well, today was yet another day in full pads for Florida State, this time down in Bradenton at the IMG Academy. And, Willie Taggart, and we can find the audio here, Willie talked some about what was going on at camp today. He's been asked specifically about both special teams and play at wide receiver. Here's first the wide receiver. Towards the end, you'll hear his comments on who's standing out in special teams up to this point.
Has there been a wideout of one of the freshman class that's kind of stood out?
Yeah, it's been a few. Trayshawn Harris has been looking good. Warren Thompson been looking good. Keyshawn has been looking really good. I know Young has been battling a little hamstring. He's practicing a little bit here and there. But those guys are standing out for the most part. Keyshawn looked good catching punt. Isaiah Bolden looked good back there catching some punts.
When you think about the wide receiver position, Tamron Terry is the guy that we repeatedly talk about and we think about as a redshirt freshman. But he just mentioned Warren Thompson as a freshman. They're out of Armwood, and you've got great size there at 6'3", 6'4", 210. And I was thinking a little bit about this receiving core. I don't know what they'll get out of George Campbell. It's impossible to know. We've been obviously holding out hope for a long time. But he's 6'4". Tamron Terry, 6'4". Warren Thompson, 6'3". Ontario Wilson, I think he referenced at one point, 6'1". You've got some guys here. You've got, and you throw in a Trey McKitty and you throw in guys like that, and you realize Keith Gavin, 6'3". Trayshawn Harrison is 6'2". We got some size now.
Yeah, there's a lot of size, and one thing we talked about back in the middle of the summer was it'll be interesting to see if guys can land jobs in this receiving core just because they're good at blocking, to go along with the ability to catch the ball versus being solely a receiver and you're not very good at blocking. We'll see what kind of onus this staff puts on that part of the game, but just by looking at heights and weights, you would think that there are some real candidates here to be able to make sure that bubble look to the outside on our standard base plays is A-OK and blocked up correctly.
He mentioned Keyshawn Helton, and a lot of people might raise an eyebrow when they hear that name and think, why don't I know Keyshawn Helton? Whether he was recruited as an athlete in the Pensacola area there. And one thing to say about him, the write-ups on him, the overview on what he was or what he'd be bringing to the table is a lot to do with special teams because he's a little guy. I mean, he's really small. He's 5'9", 5'8", 160. But apparently lightning fast, a blazer, if you will. So if he's going to contribute at all, especially early in his career, one would think it would be on special teams. And so it's exciting to hear that he's made a difference enough to stand out to Willie so far. And the reason I bring that up is, remember, we're missing, to an extent, DJ Matthews, who's a guy that will make a huge difference on special teams as well as within the receiving corps. So some options, explosive options, where we've been so poor, so bad. We have not been able to win, flip the field and win field position battles and get the hidden yards and all that stuff because we haven't had a guy that could return, or we refuse to put him back there anyhow.
Big receivers can change games in unique ways, but you need little guys too. And Nooney Murray, I saw, was working at all three positions today down there at IMG. So that means the slot as well. DJ, you would think, is going to be a slot guy. But if Keyshawn can be another option, little guys are hard to deal with. I mean, Braxton Berrios for Miami wasn't 6'5". Hunter Renfrow is not, a big, tall body like Mike Williams was for Clemson, but he makes a big impact. Slot receivers can be really, really important and explosive, especially if it's a type of player that can make one person miss. Burt Reed and Tywan Easterling had their value. So if you have somebody like that can operate over the middle and you have multiple options, glad to hear that Keyshawn Helton is doing his part because, DJ Matthews has a back issue. Even when he gets back to 100%,
you're not so sure.
A back issue is a nagging type of injury, so you got to have other options.
Oh, by the way, just as we're throwing around names as freshmen and people that have made a difference here, and Willie was mainly talking about wide receivers and athletes, but he was not necessarily talking about guys on the other side of the ball. But again, think about this for Florida State. Jaden Woodby, 6'3" freshman, has made a big difference already. It's a guy that a lot of people believe will be a difference maker this season, his first season. Asante Samuel Jr., you know the name. He comes in as a freshman. It's a guy that he'll certainly turn heads. Isaiah Bolden, a true freshman. A.J. Lighton's already been impressive as a true freshman. I mean, the secondary guys they brought in that are freshmen this year, some of which will play, some that won't, but man, difference makers.
Difference makers, and I'll be interested to see, and I'm not trying to, create division like the media likes to do. Thankfully, we don't have that coaching staff, right? It's like that. But I do want to see, if push comes to shove and Willie can choose between a freshman or a third or fourth year player, does he choose somebody who is a recruit that he can teach from scratch, or does he choose somebody that has to unlearn the old ways? Everybody likes to play their guys, or they like to bring in their people. And there's no doubt that every time Willie is asked about the freshmen so far in camp, he's raving about them, how smart they are, how much they know the system, how much they've got everything down.
I also think that they're probably really talented. I mean, that's a good group that he salvaged, put together some elite players in that group and some people that everybody wanted. So it's not shocking to find out that a number of those guys got here and can really play. Some of those guys were guys that, again, if you think about a guy like Trayshawn Harrison, we'd heard about him from here, and you knew, well, he's going to go to Oregon. We're not going to get him. And
well, chances are, and obviously Woodby is somebody that would never have been here if it weren't for this staff. You could argue for more than that, but, I mean, literally, it is true that Woodby was not contacted by the previous staff.
Yeah.
You just wonder, will this staff at any point have favorites? And will they be new guys, or will they be just the best players? It'll be an interesting development.
It will be. I think, yes, by way of comparison to the old staff, that is true. I think it's more customary that the best player plays. Let's just hope that happens. I think, by and large, that's the way you want to go about it. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Blountstown Highway, 574-4100.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this. It's right here, guys. We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Me. Look, I'm not made for loose change. I'm round like a bottle of Mountain Dew. Glistening, cold, and delicious. I'm made to keep Mountain Dew within reach at all times, so you're never far from that incredible bold citrus kick whenever you need it. Just inches from your hand, all snug and secure where it won't tip over or roll under your seat or get hot in the sun. So find the store already. Grab some Dew, toss it back, then place that bottle where it belongs, and put that loose change back in your pocket. That's what pockets are for. Mountain Dew. Do the Dew.
Are you tired of getting the same two-piece kits? Cornerstone Tool & Fastener and DeWalt have your answer. Buy a 1/4-inch 3-speed impact kit with 2 4-amp-hour batteries and receive a free 1/4-inch 3-speed impact kit. That's correct. You get 2 DeWalt 3-speed impact kits for the price of 1, only at Cornerstone Tool & Fastener. While you're there, check out the power of freedom. FlexVolt 60-volt tools from chainsaws to string trimmers, blowers, and even compressors. Cornerstone has the largest DeWalt selection in Tallahassee, 1110 Stuckey Ave and 3269 Crawfordville Highway. Tallahassee location open on Saturdays from 8 a.m. until noon.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
800-298-5783. 800-298-5783. 800-298-5783. That's 800-298-5783.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, U.S. Tax Shield can help you take back control. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Our team of tax attorneys can stop collections and get you protected. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the BBB, so call 800-466-9625. U.S. Tax Shield, 800-466-9625.
It's been called shell shock, war neurosis, and battle fatigue. Today, we call it post-traumatic stress disorder, and it affects 1 out of every 5 warriors returning from battle in Iraq and Afghanistan. The Wounded Warrior Project offers comfort and support for warriors with PTSD and all other scars of war, whether those scars are visible or hidden. Find out how to help, because for warriors, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. Please visit woundedwarriorproject.org.
Broadcasting live from the AmeriGas Propane Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool & Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
I really liked the Hart Foundation. I really enjoyed the antics of Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and he's now dead. Not surprising, another wrestling legend has called it a day at the age of 63. You get into wrestling, you just don't have a chance, man. I mean, I don't remember Neidhart being this over-the-top drug addict type that struggled in his career with keeping it on the road there, you know?
Keeping it between the ropes.
That's right. He was a guy that, but I loved him. I had it's funny, wrestling figures have been around forever. My kids have them now. They love them. But I had the Hart Foundation. I had Bret Hart and I had Jim the Anvil Neidhart. And you know what I didn't know? He was, I guess I didn't know this. A couple things. He was brother-in-law with Bret Hart. Is that right? I think that's correct. And the news was reported, by the way. You remember B. Brian Blair?
No.
You don't remember any of these guys?
No, this is before my time.
Real life brother-in-law Bret Hart. That's who.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. 6'2", 280-pound Tampa native. You don't remember Bret? Jim the Anvil Neidhart?
Maybe he was in WCW / NWO days when they had the Monday Night Wars, but I don't remember him with Bret Hart in that particular time.
Man, that was good times. Good times. I used to love when they would come on. When I would see them, I thought, oh, we're in for a good one now. And that back then, when you're a kid, tag team wrestling was a big deal. It's just not anymore.
It's all the same match. Everything is the same standard match. It was awesome with the cruiserweights because they could do all kinds of crazy stuff, different ends of the mat when you had, true acrobats out there. But now it's all the same. It's like, oh, he can't get to the corner and get his teammate in. Oh my God. Everybody has to clap so he can reach across the side. Yeah,
it's not the worst, right?
Yes.
I did find out, though, as I was reporting the news here, that at the end of his ring career, Neidhart did battle substance abuse issues. So it's right here in the article, Jeff. Just go ahead and read that, which included arrests and multiple trips to rehab. Okay, so I had it wrong, Tom. I had it wrong. It appears that he had a lot of issues with the substance abuse there at the end. I shouldn't laugh. I'm laughing about myself.
Without attaching any morality stuff, he lived a very busy life, it sounded like. A very exciting life.
I'll say this. Again, there are people who absolutely... When I was a senior in high school, he was a big deal. And WWF guy, Tampa, Florida guy. Everybody knew who he was. So me and my brothers would go watch wrestling every time it came to the Sun Dome in Tampa, and I must have seen him wrestle 7-8 times in my lifetime. And one thing that always stands out when you go to wrestling, whether it's here locally or anytime you go and you get close to the ring, is no matter how fake it is, those guys take an ass beating.
Yes, they do.
And therefore, it's easy to see how frequently they turn to pain medication or other ways of monitoring and dealing with their pain.
Sure. Maybe it won't be too long from now as society changes that every one of the WWE's busts looks like a Snoop Dogg bust from 1995 for pain treatment.
What I would like at some point is for some of these guys that I loved in my youth to stop dying. They're all kicking the bucket now, all of them, all of these wrestlers. They were my favorites, and every week another one kicks the bucket.
You saw that Hulk Hogan was at the Bucks practice last week, did you not?
I don't know if that's a good look.
He did take a photo with Jameis one-on-one.
I know.
I was like, wow, you're going to let that...
Yeah, I know. I thought about that, too.
You let that go. Jimmy Hart was there. And
whom I love.
Woo.
He'll be joining Neidhart soon. He'll be joining Jim the Anvil Neidhart real soon.
Yeah. Jimmy Hart's... he's starting to balloon up for being a little guy.
Is he really?
Yeah.
It's time. Listen, this is what happens, these guys.
Jimmy the Hitman Hart, even when he was out of WCW in the late 90s.
The tennis racket always cracked me up.
He was on every fifth commercial in Tampa. He was selling cars. He was doing whatever he could do. But I remember during Lightning games, you go to any commercial break, and, it's a 50-50 proposition that Jimmy Hart would be on a commercial at one point.
There's always so much I don't know about any of these people. Neidhart's daughter, Natalia, is a former WWE SmackDown Women's Champion. I had no idea. Why do these women all want to go into the wrestling profession like their fathers? They had to have seen the worst side of it. There aren't too many good sides to it.
I think you could play amateur psychologist.
I get
right?
it. I get it, but good God, man.
The 30 for 30 on Flair basically spells it out.
That was the worst.
I'm going to,
It was the best and the worst.
Yeah. Charlotte is basically doing it for her dead brother and absent father. That's why she's in wrestling.
Oh, man. She's good at it, though.
And she is quite good.
She's really good at it. She's a
house of power.
I like watching her wrestle, Tom. Wrap it up momentarily. Jeff Cameron, Show 97.9 ESPN Radio.
in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Can you please turn on the AC? Welcome to Florida, honey. It's freaking hot. I think I know how it feels to be hot. I was born here. Hi, this is Sarah with Seminole Auto Glass. High temperatures can cause that chip in your windshield to crack and spread, impacting your car safety and visibility. With Florida Full Coverage Insurance, windshield replacement is free, so choose the local company you know and trust. Seminole Auto Glass, 850-539-4527 or at SeminoleAutoGlass.com, because no one takes care of your car like Seminole Auto Glass.
I give to you easy laundry service from my friends at Wash Around the Clock. Oh, buddy, this is a game changer. If you're like me, your life is hectic. Between work, school, your kids' sporting events and activities, well, it leaves you precious little time to kick back and take a load off. About the last thing you want to do is hours of laundry, but there it sits, staring at you, taunting. No more. That's right. More watching, less washing. Save hours of valuable time when you sign up not doing laundry with easy laundry service from Wash Around the Clock. Whether it's dry cleaning or just plain laundry, Wash Around the Clock's easy laundry service will pick up and deliver at your home or office. So sign up for free today at easylaundry.net, or you can give them a call, 850-597-9007. Again, sign up today at easylaundry.net. Oh, and by the way, I got you. Use promo code JCS20 and save 20%. That's promo code JCS20. You're saving 20% on your first order. That's easylaundry.net from Wash Around the Clock.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. I'm not shocked to see that Jalen Ramsey has been suspended, but I'm also probably right in assuming that he is overjoyed by that suspension.
Yeah, you miss out on a week of the preseason, and you don't have to play in a preseason game.
For those that don't know, he attacked the media on Twitter while Fowler was involved in practice altercations with a teammate.
You sassy bitch.
Mm-hmm. Sources say after going after local media for what he believes is unfair treatment of his teammates, especially Dante Fowler. He authored several tweets in support of his teammates and his disdain for the local media.
You sassy bitch.
The Jaguars also suspended Dante Fowler for 1 week for fighting in violation of team's rules. It's not the first time that's happened, so no Fowler or Ramsey for a week, both suspended. I mean, you love the fire, you love the talent. You don't have to like the guy. He's tough to like. I think you've said that all along, too, by the way.
For a long time, yeah. But you know what? He was also the truth teller in that 2014 locker room that was just a mess of personalities and motivations. I mean, think about all of the stuff in 2014 that was going on. You know, people playing for themselves and Jalen trying to do everything by himself and Jameis and what he had to go through for another year. Woo!
That's crazy.
That was a headache and a half.
The thing is, if you're a player in camp and you're healthy and you took care of yourself in the offseason and you readied yourself for the preseason and you've played in a game or two and you've practiced and you've gotten the physical aspect underway, at least in having your body, acclimate itself to getting hit and to delivering hits, this week off is nothing. In fact, you could use it. You'd probably like it. I mean, I can't think of a player that wouldn't enjoy that. It's not like Jalen Ramsey needs to practice. You know he's going to come in ready and be focused. You know he's going to look good. You know he's going to be an elite player, and he is. He has to grow up, though. I mean, at some point he will have to grow up because it's certainly not the local media's fault that they're filming practice or that they during the time that they're allowed to be there and film that practice that they were. Yeah. I mean, look, man, guys get in fights. It happens. It's not the media exposing something that's private or unique to the Jacksonville Jaguars. This goes on all over the league. He doesn't need to be so defensive.
No, the Washington Jets fight.
It goes. This is what happens.
Viral. I mean, and that was a big one. And, it wasn't a knockdown throwout like, usually or drag out like you will see media hype up in the past. But, I mean, it was good enough where you go, woo, oh, man.
I love to see it, but it's football. I mean, who's shocked by fights that happen at football practice, especially if it's a scrimmage? I mean, you've got rival teams trying to establish dominance, trying to intimidate, trying to best and fight for jobs, by the way, with each other as well.
It's one of the camp cliches. We're tired of hitting each other.
Yeah,
I'm glad we can hit somebody else, and sometimes it's an intra fight, and sometimes it's an inter fight when you do collective practices. But we saw one last week in the open practice here in Tallahassee. It's just part of the business.
Well, guys get to talk, and look, football's a physical game. It's also a game built on intimidation. And here's the thing: you get to talking with the guy, or you've gone up against him so many times. You're both fighting for an edge, and that's usually where the fights occur. Is where you've had a run-in with player A million times, and you don't like the way they go about their business. You feel like maybe they're prone to the cheap shot or they break the rule or whatever it is. You don't have refs out there looking at everything. So you get held a couple times and are made to look bad. And you say to the guy, hold again, we're going to have a problem. And then you walk back, and then it's your turn, and he holds again, and here we go. And it's what happens. It makes perfect sense.
Yee. And here we go.
And here we go. Game 2 of the doubleheader between the Marlins and Braves. Let's do it up for everybody, shall we?
Probably. It's time for, how you say, with the pitching, probables?
Merandy Gonzalez against Mike Fultinovich tonight, 7:35.
That means
thereabouts.
A 6:20 pregame right here on these very airwaves, so 25 minutes from now or so.
Here's your boy, Mets-Yankees. Heavyweight battle right here, Jacob deGrom and Luis Severino. I take it the beer?
That would be, they're making up that game, right? So that would be probably the Yankee Stadium game?
It is at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, okay, well. Keep the ball down, Jacob.
With a 1.77 ERA, deGrom remains a top candidate in the NL for the Cy Young. The Mets finally got him a win in his last start where deGrom threw 6 scoreless frames versus the Reds, fan 10, to make it his 6th double-digit strikeout game of the year.
The Yankees will strike out as well, so he could do that again. The question is how many fly balls, like routine ones, are going to leave the yard tonight.
White Sox, Tigers, Ronaldo Lopez, Artie Lewicki. Indians, Reds, Mike Clevenger, Homer Bailey. D-backs, Rangers, Zach Greinke, Bartolo Colon. We got the Nats and the Cardinals. Tommy Maloney and Miles Mikolas.
It's a hard way to lose a ball game, Washington.
I was stunned.
I know you don't like the Cubs winning in any variety, but that's pretty funny.
A pinch hit grand slam will hurt the soul.
Up 3-0.
Well, that's what I mean. That's a toughie. And that guy, people are like, who's this guy? He's going yard to straightaway center guy is who he is.
You got plenty of time to check out his name tag. He's doing the trot.
He took some time.
That's a walk-off trot.
Yeah, it was a good time. I mentioned Mikolas.
Yes.
Thank you. Jays, Royals, Sean Reed Foley. Brad Keller.
Sorry.
Mariners, Athletics, Marco Gonzalez, and Sean Manaea. We got the Angels and the Padres, Andrew Haney, Clayton Richard. And tonight, oh man, Giants, Dodgers, Madison Bumgarner, and Clayton Kershaw. All right. Imagine those two matching up.
Round 28.
They are indeed used to it. Kershaw last faced the Giants, though, on April the 8th, allowing just 1 run on 6 hits in 7 innings, 42 career starts against the Giants. He's 22-10 with a 1.60. Do you think they're tired of him? I think the Giants are like, oh, good, Kershaw.
Forever and a day with this guy.
Good times, always. And that is a look at those that shall result of them up.
Summer wind. The summer wind.
I'm going to see the sorry-ass White Sox play at the end of the week.
Well, who are they playing? Because that's who you're going to see, right?
I don't know. I haven't looked. I just know that I'm with a group of people going to see the White Sox play.
It'd be fantastic if it was like Kansas City or something like that.
I don't care. Listen. My buddy, our mutual friend, and the reason I'm going to Chicago, his 40th birthday party. He's a lifelong White Sox fan, so whomever they're playing, I'm along for the ride. And there's worse things in the world than being in a ballpark outdoors with a beer in your hand and hanging out with people you love, right? So they could be playing Kansas City, and unfortunately, I won't have many names to circle. Look, we get to see that guy,
Filipovic.
I've always wanted to see Filipovic play. He's really got that first step. Good work out of you. Good work, Matthew. Be well, everybody. Have a great night. Talk to you tomorrow.